Dearly beloved, welcome to the annual Dub Talk Fireworks Show. I'm not sure how we got the license to launch a rocket in the first place, but that's what happens in the Dub Talk chat sometimes.
It's great to see you all here at this sacred place where we shared so many memories throughout the year.
From dragon shenanigans to the perils of body swapping.
My favorite cute boys and cute girls alike.
Sword fights to romance.
Even that one misadventure with the mortal sins that we all had to go to confession for. It's time we celebrate with a bang.
A bang zoom, if you will.
Of course, before we launch this bad boy into the stratosphere, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way.
Warning. The Dub Talk podcast may contain language that is not suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Also, there is always the possibility that spoilers could occur for certain anime, so be very careful in case a series you haven't finished yet is being discussed.
And finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and do not reflect Dub Talk as a whole.
Alright, enough of this legal fine print. Let's light this baby up in 3, 2, 1.
Blast off!
Woohoo!
Yeah! Enjoy the show, everyone!
Hello, fellow Super Peacebusters, and welcome to Dub Talk, the podcast where we get together at the secret base and talk about recent dubs that have come out from the fine people who dub all of our Japanese cartoons, or sometimes, not the recent ones, but more old school ones that are actually lodged in our memory as classic anime, and finally we're gifted with a dub, and in that case we have to put on our extra special glasses and get out our extra special mugs to talk about the series and go over the dub. I am your host, NoahClue, the leader of the Super Peacebusters tonight, as I go forward in superhero mode to introduce the fine folks at the super secret base, and God, this is already, I'm starting to cry here trying to talk about all of this. Alright, help me out here, guys.
Hi, I'm Andrew, member of the Super Peacebusters, and I can safely say I have several boxes of tissues next to me without it sounding weird.
Thank you, Andrew. We're gonna need all of those tissues, so thank you for bringing those. And to the right, we have the I'm gonna guess you'd be the glasses-wearing member of the group who is studious, keeps us all in line, and has a secret crush on the asshole character from the show. It's Lilac!
Sir, you're mistaking me for Gigi and her love of asshole characters, first of all. And second of all, since when were you the leader of the Super Peacebusters?
Well,
Since when?
Now, see, you're getting into we're gonna get our emotions out and yell at each other in the last episode, because that is a big part of the show.
And then we're just gonna cry together, and then it's, guys, it's Sadness Fiesta again.
So,
we had Orange last year, and this year, oh lord, it's worse.
can we talk about how kind of amazing it is that we're doing this one in particular? Actually, did we even say the name of the show yet?
No, I'm waiting for a pause in the dialogue. Which
There's
there
your
never
pause.
is on this podcast, which is good. It's good that we have no breaks. That's okay. But
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
yes. Well, actually, interesting you mentioned live, because one of the characters is not alive in the show.
Oh
But
god, don't remind me.
which show could that be? So I mentioned at the top of this that we're talking about an older series, and that is true, because back in 2011, there was a little series by a little upstart animation studio called A1 Pictures that hit the airways and sent everyone who watched it into emotional turmoil. And they all put it at the top of their year-end list as well, because it was just that good. I am, of course, talking about... It's got a very long title to it, but you all know it best as Anohana, or We Still Don't Know the Name of the Flower We Saw That Day.
I thought it was just the flower we saw that day, but
I think it goes like Anohana, the flower we saw that day. It's like a mashup of the two.
Okay.
Well, the full title, I mean, if you want me to, I will pull up the full Japanese title just to...
We don't need that level.
I'm about to say, the full Japanese title is probably what Noah said, but, like, the mashed up title between the two is Anohana, the flower we saw that day.
That is correct, but the full Japanese title is Anohimina Hana no Namoai o Boku Tachi wa Mada Shiranagai.
Nerd.
Wow.
That I butchered the Japanese, I apologize.
I'm sure you did, but I'm impressed you did that.
No, I'm about to say, one, that is a long-ass title, and two, if we have just offended anyone who is Japanese, we're sorry.
I'm sure we've more than a couple grudges, but anyways,
Probably.
Noah, before we begin, could you explain the history of this particular show to us in the States?
As well as give a summary of the show. That would be very nice.
That was I love the fact that you guys already know what we do on this podcast to the point that you can actually point out the script before we even get to it. It's like you're seeing it from the future.
No, it's like we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, man.
And
I've gotten used
100
to it.
episodes, almost.
Not quite. We're getting there.
We're almost there. But okay, thank you
Slowly.
for asking about both what's the show about. First of all,
Yes.
this show is it's very sad because what happened is 5 years ago from the story's initial starting point, 6 friends lost one of their good friends. The 6 characters lost Menma, who died, and they were only about 10 years old at that point. And 5 years later, into the present day, none of them have been able to move forward. Jinta is an emotional shut-in who can't face reality. Anaru is like a flighty gal girl who just does what all of her friends do. Popo is traveling the globe, and the other two are basically, they're
SAT
students.
prep students, basically.
But you could argue that also means having no life as well. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your circumstances, Menma's ghost decides to come back 5 years later and urges all of the characters of this group, known as the Super Peacebusters, to get together and grant her wish that will hopefully send her off to heaven. What that wish is, we don't quite know yet, but we do know that it can only be granted when all 6 of them are together again. The trick of the show, however, though, is that only the leader of the group, at least when they were kids, Jinta, or Jintan, can see Menma and hear her, and it takes a while to convince all the rest of the characters that Menma has come back, and even longer for them to get out their emotions and move forward after that fateful day that broke them all apart. That is a emotional turmoil of a show, and someone decided to give it a dub finally, because, like I said, that show came out 6 years ago from this recording, back in 2011.
I mean, let's face it, this is the year of mythical dubs.
Anohana is among them.
What's going on?
Just to give a hint, I think before, Aniplex of America was even really a thing, Nice America picked this one up, released it sub-only, and basically that's all there was for a number of years, and the 480p quality of Crunchyroll, until Aniplex of America got this one back. Which, here's the thing, usually when Aniplex of America takes a show back, boom, dead, gone forever. But this one's interesting. No, they actually went back and gave this series a proper dub and put it up for us to view on streaming. And you know what?
That's the surprising part.
You know
we didn't have to buy the show, and it is not on Netflix currently.
And you know what? Thank you, Aniplex, is a phrase I don't usually get to say, but you know what? Thank you, Aniplex. Thank you for using your strange Go90 streaming service. It's odd, but I appreciate free data on my Verizon phone with literally a 15-30 second ad, and that's it.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, aside from Nice America holding the rights for it originally, the release that it had went out of print, of course, and then I think Aniplex had a run of the Anohana film.
Yes, they did,
right.
which was also
also out of print.
It was, yeah. I thought that was still in print right now. The film itself, but not the show.
The film itself is basically just a compilation of the TV show story.
No, I know. I think that's still in print.
let's
I think
not
that's
spoil-
still in print, though.
Well, okay, the point is that after a while,
still
this is a weird instance where something got dubbed that was originally released sub-only, and now, many years later, it was apparently popular enough that Aniplex decided it was worth a dub. And I don't think any of us are complaining about that, because
No.
thank you, Aniplex.
This is This is one of those shows that's like up there for me, probably like top 10 or 20.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Andrew was saying, it's weird to say thank you to Aniplex, but the fact that we are fully able to see it without having to spend like $100, and purchase a Netflix account, even if it's not even on Netflix anyway. But my point still stands. But yeah, this I don't know what's in the water with these licensing companies, because this is like the third out of maybe like 4 or 5 that we're talking about in the near future that are basically these mythical English dubs.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's
multiple
weird
times over.
Because let's face it, at the time of recording this, we've already recorded and released the Gosek episode, and the night before recording this, we recorded the Hyoka episode, and we still have, because we already announced it, we're going to be talking about Haikyuu, and there's actually one other that's still in the works right now too. It's
right, but that's not what
like,
we're talking about tonight, though.
No, it's just weird. It's like, what is in the water right now?
Hopefully,
it's amazing, and I love it.
Oh god, I almost went somewhere bad with that.
What?
Oh no! You said what's in the water, and I almost
Were you
went
thinking of the river?
I almost went for the cheap shot. Oh fuck!
No, Andrew.
No, Andrew, no.
This is what happens when we meander too long. I go to dark places, but you know what?
Andrew, go into your other corner. Stop it.
So, that being said, I think we've gone on and long enough. I think it's time we dive. Oh god damn it! No.
Andrew, stop talking.
Fired.
Let Noah talk.
FIRD fired like a firecracker. You are fired. In outer space, you are fired.
Andrew,
With a big
stop
bamboo
talking.
shoot, you are fired.
Andrew, stop talking before you make it worse. Noah is in charge here.
Thank you, Lilac.
Please.
This is why I brought both of you along, to keep both of you in check.
And luckily, this is why this is a 3-person episode, because there's so much in this show.
It's going to be... Okay, now to let all you people know, we are going to talk about the English cast members who put this together. We will be talking about some of the minor characters, but I know that all of you who are listening to this came to hear about the top 6. We'll get to those, but there's a couple other smaller characters to talk about. But before we get to even those, we should probably talk about the head honcho, the big cheese, the big kahuna, the director, and the scriptwriter of this show. And as per, this is a show that, even though all of us saw it before it came out in dub, none of us are going to be talking about predictions, because we just want to get into the meat of discussing who was cast and how their performances were on this one.
If I recall at the time before, when it was announced this was even getting a dub, it just came out of the blue. It was one of those where it was like, what?
It's like, oh, this is happening.
And we didn't have time to make predictions.
It would be like if they released a dub of, what was that one show that came out a while ago? It was like, or any of the Bakemonogatari series would be like,
no,
none of us ever made a prediction for this, so yeah.
I mean, you could say that probably about Gosek and Hyoka, actually.
There was no
one
time
made
to
predictions
prepare.
because it was so out of the blue.
It came out of the blue. Still.
So, okay, speaking of coming out of the blue, the main man who is actually both directing and scriptwriting this bad boy is everyone's favorite badass over in the California district, Lilac's favorite personal crush, Patrick Seitz.
Since when was he my personal favorite crush, first
of all?
Well, because he directed and wrote the script for one of your favorite shows, Monster.
Did
you are not wrong.
Did
you are not wrong. Yes,
he
did.
That.
He also
absolutely did.
Also, to cover the wide range of stuff that he's done before, he was also a scriptwriter and director, yes, both of those jobs, on shows like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Girls Bravo, which I'm sure he's very proud of, and probably most relevant to this particular show we're going to be talking about, last year's hit dub, Your Lie in April.
Yeah.
Which shares many similarities to Anohana, which I'm sure we'll be comparing back and forth throughout the series, not least of which now is sharing a director and scriptwriter for the English dub. Now, I guess the best way to go about this is to say what we thought about Patrick Seitz' directing and scriptwriting on this. Andrew, I know that you're eager to get out of the cage and tell us, so what were your thoughts going through this 11-episode adventure?
Okay.
You sure you want to let him out right now?
Okay.
Yes, I've got the whip here, it's okay, and I've actually...
good.
It's okay.
I'm under control. I have a lot of notes for this show in particular, so I'll actually keep this pretty concise. Before I go into... I remember the first thing I wrote was, This man is basically just a huge fucking teddy bear, man. Fuck. End quote.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Okay, so there's the amount of emotional range, nuance, and exceptional performances that he had to go out of and bring out of these actors probably was not easy. If I was to pinpoint one scene in particular where I feel this truly shined, was the beginning of episode 11, where all 5 of them are at the shrine, because there's no easy...
Oh, you're already breaking my heart here.
See, here, let's put it like this. There's no way to talk about that scene individually, because that is all of them together. And in that scene, that is basically everything comes out. Where everything that's been on their chest, all the guilt, all the heartache, everything comes out in like this huge, fiery, emotional spew, where it seems like it's so angry and so furious and so sad, nobody could physically ever come back from that again without their lives being forever changed. Yet, in a single instant, they just notice Anaru's eyelash, her fake eyelash is falling off, and the entire mood of the room changes to everybody just laughing hysterically at this stupid eyelash thing falling off, and everybody comes together. Everybody's calmed, and even a little relieved, and more level-headed now. That scene impressed me in the sub because it's the most natural I've seen of, like, a big, heated fight. Because I've had those with my family and with my friends. And then everything's, like, it feels like you're going to die or everything's ruined. And then something dumb happens that everybody just starts laughing. And then the scene is reunited. To get natural reactions from 5 different people simultaneously, some of them were major outbursts too, to get genuine laughter and emotional, like, catharsis, is fucking impressive. Like,
I'm glad you mentioned the word catharsis most impressively, because that is what that final episode is all about. It's the accumulation of all of that angst building up, finally being relieved, because I don't know about you guys, but watching a lot of the episodes, I was thinking a lot of their problems could be solved if they just talked it out with one another.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Secrets.
So,
unfortunately, these are also teenagers. So.
Yeah, which shit's stupid if you're a teenager.
Teens are dumb. We were teens once.
So,
come on now.
To wrap up my final thoughts, Patrick Seitz, this man, both his direction and script, takes you for a wild ride, and he brought his A game once again. I wouldn't say that this is as good as Your Lie in April's dub was. I'll take it further, and I'm gonna say I think it's even better. Both.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's strong words.
You're gonna have a lot of
Not
Your Lie in April fans.
Also,
you were almost saying Yuri on Ice.
Unrelated. I actually think there's some notable changes in the script itself, especially going from Japanese, but I think all of it actually works pretty well. Most of them all save to a certain character, but I think the changes are natural for the English language. They work well, some of them are funny, and some of them are effectively as heartbreaking. So yeah, direction and script writing, fucking A+ job, goddamn.
Well, Lilac, I am assuming, then you're going to say that you did not like the direction, and it needed to be redone, and that it was a horrible dub all around, right? As the dissenter?
If you're trying to pull some shit like you did with Yoka last night, you're not going to get an answer like that from me.
We need, like, dissenters in the group, but we don't have any tonight, do we?
No.
Probably not, honestly, because my instant reaction when I initially learned that Patrick Seitz was the director and the writer for the show, it was probably in the best possible hands that I could ever hope for. Because, to be fair, I still haven't finished the dub for Your Lie in April past what I initially watched when we were covering that a couple years ago. I need to get back to that.
Wow.
But,
yeah.
But from what I had remembered and what I had seen of Your Lie in April, Patrick was able to capture, both in the writing and the direction, those very intense moments, those very emotional pieces. It's almost like there are parts where it's like you're going through therapy because you're watching these characters like try and reevaluate themselves, and it's basically the same thing here, because you have
essentially, I'm gonna say 5 characters. Menma's not really involved in this group and to this extent. You have these 5 characters with so much guilt, so much regret about what happened, and they also have so many secrets, and it's this roller coaster of an emotional ride where you're gradually seeing these 5 characters not only relive those experiences, but finally have the chance to let them go. To finally have the chance to face it head on and to move past it. And it's such an emotional roller coaster ride that you have to be really strong, not only in the writing and the performances up for those characters have to be strong for that to be conveyed very well. And with Patrick Seitz at the helm on both of those ends, it was phenomenal, and it hit every single emotional point. And it set me on that roller coaster ride once again, and I was just complete. Because I marathoned this all in a single day the other day, which was a terrible decision. But luckily I finished Chioka after that, but it's okay.
We don't call ourselves Team Bad Decisions for no reason.
I know, but marathoning it in one sitting, I got to go through that on that emotional roller coaster ride, and cathartic is probably the best word, because taking Andrew's word, it's a very cathartic experience. So, having Patrick at the helm and the writing and directing front, he was the best possible choice I could have hoped and asked for a show like this. And I think it was such a phenomenal job on all parts.
Wonderful. Well, Patrick, we owe you a beer for this show next time, if we ever get to meet you, because this
I've met him. I've met him. He is a sweetheart.
Okay, well, we all owe him, like, at the very least, we owe him a Mike's Hard Lemonade, I agree, I think.
I remember the first Anime Boston that Megan came up. She had bought an Iggy plushie, and we went to the Your Lie in April premiere.
Oh no.
He was walking by, and she called out to him. She's like, Patrick! She's holding the Iggy plushie. He got so excited, he came running over, took the plushie, and he just looked at it for a second. He just started stroking it and petting it like, my precious. It was so cute.
Patrick Seitz confirmed for real life Popo.
Yes, real life Popo and giant teddy bear.
So I have a question then for you two, because I don't really have anything to add on the directing and writing myself. You guys have basically covered all the points. But my question to you is, do you think that there was anything that was lost writing-wise from the transfer to Japanese to English?
I'm gonna be honest, from what I remember, not really. I think everything that needed to be conveyed with these characters and their certain traits and quirks was actually conveyed very well with a lot of the script changes. Like, most of them I was going to mention for their particular characters, but there are some genuine statements where it's like, everything about the way Menma talks is conveyed through pure, like, innocent speak, where it's like she sounds like a child who never really got the chance to grow up because, well, you know, and, like, some of the things that Popo says, it's very eccentric, carefree, but also a little bit pervy, and the way that certain characters act and the way they carry themselves, or the awkwardness they convey when they're in public, or the shyness and insecurity they feel. I think all of it, when it's translated for the show, everything comes across as it needs to, and I think it's splendid.
I think for me, to answer your question, Noah, I think aside from maybe, there was probably some small moments more on the lighthearted scenes where maybe, because I always nitpick when this comes up, like use of slang and modern terminology. I think there's only very few moments where that might have occurred, and it's been at least a year, maybe two, since I've originally seen the show. I don't recall that happening in the original. So, aside from that, I'm in agreement that the translation, I think, was very faithful to the original. Because, I mean, with a show like this, if you were to deviate from it, it would just go south so fast.
So, I'd like to describe Patrick Seitz from a phrase that was used in this dub. Patrick Seitz, you are not a big loser chicken. You are a big winner chicken.
Yes.
That
Big
is a
winner
moderate slow
chicken.
clap.
And I think we can leave it at that.
Yes.
Patrick Seitz, yeah, that's going on a plaque on his wall now.
Big
Noah, you're
winner chicken.
But no, you basically agree that the directing and writing that Patrick did is phenomenal. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, I will get more into thoughts about individual characters when we get to them, but the tone,
Okay.
the translation, and the handling of all the individual characters as different quirks, really well done on this.
Mm-hmm.
I can highly recommend this to sub-purists even, to say you can watch this in dub and you will get the exact same treatment that you would if you watch
Yeah.
it in just the sub, which
Yeah,
should
I
be
can
the
agree with
key
that.
of a dub, to basically say you are losing nothing by changing language tracks. Now it's just a little bit easier to understand for some people because you've got you people speaking English naturally. Sometimes things just come across more naturally if you listen to it instead of having to read subtitles.
Yeah, I can agree with that, though. Me personally, I'm usually of the preferences, like, I consider a dub to be an adaptation, where I don't mind seeing voice actors, like, put their own spin on the character, but in this situation, especially, again, with the subject matter and the material at hand, having it be more in line with the original is probably the best route for the show to go.
Right.
Yeah, the strength of the story itself is already enough there that there really didn't have
Yes.
to be much more adaptation.
Right.
So let us talk about some of those individual characters who help bring this tissue box of a TV show to life, shall we?
Yeah, we need plenty of tissues, and we need our crying ice cream. Do we need anything else? Oh, wait, I didn't grab Gatomon. Shit!
Oh yeah, I suggested early on, and to Steph, you know what? You should probably have a plushie on hand for the show.
It actually helped. It actually helped.
mentioned.
I was holding my Gatomon while I was watching the final couple episodes. I'm like, oh my god!
It's very interesting that you mentioned a Digimon, because we're actually going to be talking about one of the biggest Digimon actors in this next segment.
Yes!
Hold that
Segue!
thought. So,
I win.
like we said, we're going to talk about the main six, obviously, but before we do that, there's a couple of parent characters who we should really talk about, just to give them their due, because they do really well in conveying some very horrible parents, at least in the sense that they're not very good for their children, but for good reason, for understandable reasons. First up, we're going to talk about the mom and dad of Jinta. We're going to talk about Atsushi Yadomi and his wife, Toko Yadomi. Notably, Toko Yadomi actually died before the beginning of the series. And so, because of that, her husband and Jinta's dad is kind of not really doing the parenting anymore. He's kind of decided to let his own son be his own person without getting too interfering with them. He's basically the polar opposite of the dad from Clanad, who decided instead of being an abusive parent, I'm just going to be a neglectful parent.
Just for clarification's sake, Jintan's mom passed away after Menma died, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
It's like for his life sort of went from bad to worse, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously you're going to need some actors who can pull off the range of emotions of parents to do that. But for Dad, we've got, and this made me laugh because I think he's got the biggest resume of anyone in the entire cast,
Probably.
Kirk Thornton, of all people.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Kirk Thornton, better known to you Digimon-loving fans as Gabumon in all of Digimon. Also, Hyosuke in Please Teacher, and Klein in Sword Art Online for some of you more modern viewers.
He's also like every single piece of shit bit character in literally every other show.
If I listed everything he was in, which, you're right, include quite a bit of awful characters, we would be here for an entire podcast. We could make it the Kurt
I'll save.
I mean, I still think of him as Gene in Samurai Champloo, but that's just me.
Okay, but we'll save that for later.
That's a good character, though.
He had his moments of not
He
being
did.
so good.
Wait, hang on a second.
You're not wrong.
So, but speaking of the opposite of that, a total precious character, playing Jinta's mom is Laura Post, who plays some of the finest mother characters in anime, like Ryoga in Kill la Kill.
You're funny.
We have to bring that up every time she's a mother character.
It's hilarious,
You're not wrong.
but at least in this one, she's genuinely sincere.
Yes.
Yes, she's a good mom in this show. Laura also voices Diana Cavendish in Little Witch Academia, Nozami in Love Live, and a lot of other California dubs that we've covered on the show before. So, these two characters, Lilac, do you have some quick thoughts about how they portrayed their particular niches in the story?
Let's see. Laura Post you don't see as often as you do Kirk Thornton. Laura Post is really there for plot relevance more than anything, because reasons, but we'll probably talk about that later. But I did enjoy her as the sweet, kind mom figure. She was wonderful and adorable, and I liked it. And then Kirk Thornton and his philosophy of parenting. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I love the performance as this kind of relaxed dad who apparently loves saying the word cute.
Yeah, that was a quirk in the sub as well.
I know, I forgot that was a quirk. I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, I realized while I was watching it and I kept hearing him say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened in the Japanese too. But, Kirk Thornton plays rather well with the dad figure in this and his relaxed parenting, because you can tell he doesn't want to push Jinta, because Jinta's already gone through a lot and he's been struggling a lot for years. So instead of what kind of happened with the next set of characters we'll talk about, Jintan's dad just kind of wants to let him just gradually get back into the swing of things on his own.
Yeah, I had a discussion actually with Jenny about abusive parents before, and we kind of talked about how, if possible, it would be better for a parent who's struggling themselves to do nothing rather than to be a negative enforcement on their children.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which is not to excuse neglectful parents either, but
no,
but we don't hate Kirk Thornton's character.
I there's nothing about him that I think is meant to come off as hateful. If anything, it just strikes me as he sees his kids gone through so much that he doesn't want to push him too hard at fear of losing him as well as the love of his life.
He's giving him a space in order to try and recover himself.
He's also
there's only so much a parent can do. So
he's also very clearly more aware of the situation than even Jintan gives him credit for. He just chooses to trust in his son's decisions because that's the best he thinks he really can do, and that's a pretty poignant moment. Okay, Laura Post. She's amazing and sweet and lovable, and she's dead. There's not much to really say there. I'm sorry.
And she's dead. There's nothing much else.
She would you say that she is as sweet and adorable as the bread that she makes?
Yes, but boy, I don't, just puffed bread and raisins seems very unappetizing to me, but I'm sure it tasted pretty good. Kirk Thornton though. Can I just say, I mentioned it before, it's so nice to see Kirk Thornton not play a piece of shit. So, we haven't brought her up yet. This show was written by, Mari Okada. She's going to be important to several discussions tonight, but first thing, let me reference a Kirk Thornton character in another show written by her, Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, where Kirk Thornton plays a literal fat piece of shit who, is in control of an army of kids. Basically, it's a piece of shit to them, and he has a Hitler mustache, and he's a total fucking asshole. And that is the one-off character played by Kirk Thornton. So, it's so nice to see him not playing a total piece of shit, fat motherfucker, abusing kids with a Hitler mustache, and just I'm sure he's probably the sweetest person in the world. So, the fact that he's always plays the most piece of shit inhumane motherfuckers always is hilarious to me. That's why I'm so surprised that he's playing he's aloof, I think would be the word to use, because he doesn't seem that's a good way to describe him. He doesn't really seem like he's naive, nor does he really seem like he doesn't care. He just seems a little out there and a little he just seems a little light in his demeanor, especially when it comes to his kids. It's not that he can't be a parent or he isn't incapable, but it's just he's choosing to trust in his kid, and he's choosing to trust in them to trust in their well-being. Whether that's a good parenting decision or not is another matter, but I think Kirk Thornton brings a good level to this character's demeanor. He's very light, but he is very... He sounds old. He sounds like he's aged a bit, and he sounds like he's gone through a lot. Because we never see his emotional breakdown. We never see him get angry. We never see him get distraught. Closest is like when he's telling him about what happened to Menma, but most of it, it's like he's moved on. He's not living in the past anymore. Like, most everybody in the show is trapped or encapsulated by the past. He's moved on, and he's in that point of acceptance where he's just living his life.
He's one of the few characters in the show who is not stuck in the past.
Which is like, there's not much to say about what he does, but there's a level of respect for somebody who is living ahead of the future, and I think Kirk Thornton does a good job bringing that out in this character, and I'm just glad he's playing a genuinely sweet person.
To be fair, it's also rather refreshing to have characters who aren't living in the past, because it would just turn into more sadness, depressing fiesta times. I'm just saying.
It's a small cast, and so it's nice that at least one of the characters with a name is not as damaged goods as everybody else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, thank you both for the compliments. Your paychecks are in the mail.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know.
Yeah, even though I'm in charge? What the fuck?
I'm just writing this off of your taxes. This whole podcast is a tax write-off.
Sweet, I'm okay with this.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
We're talking about Jeep's parents.
Just go!
But I will say that, to echo both of you, yes, these characters are both don't have as much dialogue, don't have as many emotional highs and lows as the rest of the cast members, and that's okay. It's kind of refreshing that in a medium of anime, high school anime, where parents actually aren't always that present. It's kind of nice that this series, the writer decided to include a variety of parents actually who are actually involved in their kids' lives to some extent. And both Kurt and Laura play off the kind of wackier or sentimental parents that it's really necessary to break the sadder moments of the series up. So good casting, Pat, for putting Kirk and Laura in this. They both did very well.
Yes.
So we should probably move on then to parents and family members who are not quite doing as well.
Let's talk about Crazy Mom.
Let's move over to Menma's family. We are going to be talking about Menma's dad, mom, and little brother. Well, he's not so little anymore, but family members who are kind of not able to move forward, and they show that in completely opposite ways. But, of course, we need to talk about who's voicing the characters. For Menma's dad, Manabu, this is the voice of Christopher Smith. For Menma's mom, Irene, it is Karen Strassman. And as a bit of incendiary information, I believe, if I read correctly, that Irene is actually supposed to be Russian.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay,
yeah,
that
I don't
explains a
remember
lot.
where I read it from, but yeah, someone mentioned somewhere that Menma is half Japanese, half Russian.
That makes perfect sense. I had a hunch the name
explains a lot.
Irene was Russian or something, but that makes total sense. Continue.
So there you go. And to round out the cast, we have brother, grown up more now, Satoshi, voiced by, interesting casting choice here, Maureen Miller.
Marianne.
I'm sorry, Marianne. Marianne Miller. Badass extraordinaire.
Fail.
I do. That's why I'm here and not in school. Also because I'm 27, but that's not the point.
And also because you already graduated school.
Thank you.
What have these characters, what have these people...
Tried to save you.
I could still be going for an over graduate degree if I really wanted to, but I wouldn't have the money for that.
So, Mr. Clue...
You were being smart and saving money.
Thank you. So, speaking of smart, hardworking dads, which I totally am, Christopher Smith, he's been in a couple of series. Also, kind of seems to jump around different dubbing studios as well, because he is Lem in Jormungand.
Jormungand.
He is Suji Hanamoto in Honey and Clover, and he is Kinosuke in Do Ra 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 Ra, just to name a couple of his roles. That one show.
Interesting. Now I'm gonna be looking at like what other stuff he's done because I didn't realize he did Dallas stuff. Don't mind me. Keep going.
Yeah, he's all over the place. One person who's not quite as over the place and seems to stick mostly in California is Irene's voice actress, Karen Strassman, who is in everything when it comes to, if you need like a mother character or you need a moe character, this is the one that you call on to give her...
I don't know about moe. Let's talk about Monster Dude.
No. Hold on. Like, moe, I'm thinking of Miyuki in Lucky Star, Migunami in Lagrange, The Flower of Rene, and Sawako in K-On! I don't think I pronounced that right.
She's also the most precious cinnamon rolls in the Persona series, like Nanako, Dojima, and Aegis.
I'm going to take your word for it because I don't even know what a Persona 5 is.
They're not... Personas 3 and 4 is you fucking plebeian. Continue.
Well, if you add them together, that's a Persona 7, right?
No, but for real though, let's just say Nina fucking Fortner.
She's
Nina Fortner in Monster, you guys.
Yeah, she's Nina.
God.
Again, I'll take your word for it because I haven't seen Monster yet.
Someone needs to relicense that shit. Viz.
Oh, I wouldn't be bad. They're too busy printing that Sailor Moon money. Speaking of magical girls, actually, that brings us to Marianne Miller, who is for some reason, all the roles I picked for her on this cast list are all magical girl themed. She's Kyosuke in Madoka Magica. She was Amanda O'Neil in Little Witch Academia, and she's Yuno in Magical Girl Lyrical Nanaho. So this is a completely different role because not only is she playing a young boy in this, but he does not have magical powers.
I'm about to say, it makes me think you have a thing for magical girl shows, Noah.
She's also unrelated to magical girls, but related to magic. She is the young version of Kiritsugu Emiya from Fate Zero.
You would be right.
So that's our wide range of characters who, like we said, are damaged goods because Dad the dad is dealing with the death of his daughter by just kind of locking his emotions away and not really dealing with it. The brother has some resentment about it because his family misses Menma and doesn't quite give him as much attention. And then there is the mother, who is, oh my god.
Interesting thing, I'll say this, the least I have to say is the father. What's his name again?
Manabu.
Manabu. I don't have much to say about him, but I like Christopher Smith every time I hear him things, and he does a good job for what he gets to do. He gets the least screen time of the three. Satoshi, I really like Marianne Miller, and I think she's got a fantastic voice when it comes to doing these young prepubescent, like teenage boys or young boy characters that really adds to this. Like, she's not quite in full puberty yet, I think, but it's clear he's growing. And he's very conflicted, because part of him really misses his big sister, but he was also really young at the time. And part of what sort of caused this rip in his family is that everybody's so trapped by the fact that Menma's gone that nobody really even sees him or what he's growing anymore. They're too busy over the kid they lost that they've completely ignored the one that they still have, which is a really interesting dilemma. Like, I thought a poignant line was where it's like, I grew a lot this year. Did you even notice? It's just, there's so much to be said by that, and so little that's conveyed, and it's stuff. And then there's Irene, who... This is upsetting because...
Episode 9, right?
It's 8 or 9. Irene's particularly upsetting to me because I've met this person before. I've met the person whose something tragic happened to them. And they put on a face, they put on a facade to carry on and see like they're still living, but they've trapped themselves in their past. They've trapped themselves in their sorrow. They trapped themselves in their anger, their resentment, the fact that she's so angry at these kids, not even for them doing anything wrong, but that they were given the chance to live and grow up and move on, while her child wasn't. And that destroys her inside. Like, I'll say this. She is, by means, the closest thing to an antagonist to this series, but neither her or Manabu or anybody on this family are villains. They are victims. And I think Karen Strassman conveys that perfectly. She conveys that sweet, innocent creature, but also the tortured soul, somebody tragically in there. I think Karen's great. I think Marianne is fantastic as Satoshi for what she conveys, the level of emotion and disillusionment, and Christopher Smith's just sort of there. I think this whole family's really interesting. And it's tough shit. It's tough shit.
Lilac, can you concur that this is indeed, as the scholar Andrew said, tough shit?
I mean, this wouldn't be Sadness Fiesta if I disagreed, so... yeah, I can absolutely agree with it. Yeah, for sure I would say, unfortunately, Christopher Smith, we didn't get much dialogue or lines out of him, so... Again, he's kind of there, but for what he did have, I thought it was very good. Between the three of these family members, though, Satoshi and Marianne, and then we have Irene and Karen, though, because they have much more to do. It's an interesting storyline to see what Satoshi is going through, because you don't often see that kind of story in anime or maybe in other mediums sometimes. So it's very interesting to see what Satoshi's struggle is like. Hey, I'm still here, and yet you're still worrying about my dead sister. And to see the interactions between Satoshi and Irene, it's very heartbreaking. Like I said, this show is just an emotional roller coaster, and it's on so many levels, and this is one of those levels where you're dealing with this family struggle and them trying to get over what's going on. And this is actually my first time ever hearing Marianne in anything, first of all.
Really?
And yeah, and it took me, I will admit, it took a little bit for me to adjust, because this is a new person. I've never heard her, obviously, play a little boy before. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But I think it transitioned very smoothly, and I did enjoy the performance at the end. But Karen Strassman, though. She, like Andrew was saying, she was capable of putting on that face, that facade that everything is okay. It's like, I love my daughter, we're still sad that she's gone. And then go completely into, like, why are you doing this? Are you just tormenting me? Haven't I been through enough? Seeing her just snap, because she's been wallowing in the past for so long that eventually something has to give. And that transition, I think, was so seamless, and you could tell that she was just broken inside after going through so much, and all of this talk of Menma coming up much more recently. Like, you can tell that it just really killed her inside, and Karen Strassman portrayed that so well. Yeah, all three of these performances were great, but Karen Strassman definitely is the standout between the three because of those emotional beats that she had to hit.
Before we go on to Noah, I want to mention something quickly, since there's no real clear way to mention this. Mariaki Okada, who is the writer of this particular series and like this original work, one of the things that came out recently that sort of changed my context of going through Anohana is a lot of stuff from her personal autobiography. And one of the interesting and sort of upsetting things I took away from that was that she has a very troubled, strained, and kind of messed up relationship with her own mother.
Okay.
Which
So that would
there's a lot of things with this particular series, but I think it conveys a lot about the particular scary, like, the way this person comes off and the dramatic, like, just everything about her demeanor in that freak out moment, it feels eerily real. And knowing that she has a very strained and difficult relationship with her mother, more on that in you get to find that on Anime News Network, but that really adds a lot of clarity to this particular character.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, because there is evil mother characters in anime, like we've seen them before, and then there is believable human kind of mother characters. And so to give Christopher Smith his dues, he did a good job. I was actually a little worried that because the original Japanese had a much gruffer dad voice in the seiyuu, I was a little worried that they would give this almost like a guy from a Bara manga, like much lower.
I'm glad
voice.
they didn't go that route.
And I am too, because that does not fit his character design at all, and that would have taken away from the more tender moments, because he does have a few tender moments. And definitely Marianne is, she gets high props from me, and I said this a lot in the Little Witch Academia episode, because I don't usually hear California actors who sound so unpolished. And I mean that in the best way possible. She has a very real, authentic sound to her voice. I'm not quite sure what her dialect is, but it does not sound like your traditional California, LA, West Coast actor. But whatever it is, it comes out really well in her role in Satoshi here, because that's a voice of someone who is like his own individual person, but is not allowed to show it, or at least is not acknowledged by his mother very much. So yeah, the scene where he kind of breaks down to Jinta what he's thinking, like that sincerity of it, it's almost like watching a boy become a man in a sense.
Kind of, yeah.
And so, yeah, Marianne, whatever your inspiration was for this character, like, you had to dig down and, like, whatever you had to do. High props on that, because that was, like, one of my favorite little bits of the series. Now, as for Irene, though, and I should probably be upfront about this going forward, but I did not cry throughout any of this series, none whatsoever, until we got to her breakdown in episode 9, wherein the character is talking to the main five, just conversing with her about what they're doing, and then she starts kind of like jabbering on, not listening to what they're saying at all, and as you guys said, has a full-on breakdown confessing that she's so upset that they get to move on, they get to live, they got to grow up, they got to be human, but her own daughter is trapped in time, is frozen, did not get to go forward. Why did this happen? It's like that scene from Steel Magnolias where I forget who the actress was like mad that her daughter had to die. Like, it's a scene that feels so real about what is wrong with this. I can't move forward with it. Karen had the perfect emotion for it, and I know this more than almost anybody else, and I'll probably talk about this more later, but I have actually been through what she goes through before, and I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but back in early 2016, me and Jenny actually did lose a daughter ourselves. We had a daughter, Audrey, who was born with a medical condition called amophyseal, which means that the organs are in a sac outside of the stomach, which is treatable, but she also had some breathing trouble. She lived for 4 days on breathing tubes, and then she passed away. And the time after that was so difficult to get through that rewatching a character in an anime go through this, I was like, this is a little too real for me.
No,
I'm really
what was it? You said this in the chat the other day. You said something.
You were
just like,
there was a particular line that I think
Yeah,
Jitan says to Satoshi, where it's like,
I think I
imagine.
wrote it down.
I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent to lose their child. It
Something
must
like that,
It must destroy them inside.
yeah. The moment you quoted that, I'm like, oh no.
And it didn't hit me too, but
I
Yeah.
mean, because I remember what had happened, and then it was just. I
so
was like,
no,
no.
that particularly, and that's the struggle with Irene. It's like she didn't become some sort of crazy woman to you. She became. I've been through that struggle, and
I found the line: when a parent loses a child, it must tear them up inside. And Noah's response: "This is too much."
It really was.
The second you wrote that, I was just like, "Oh no."
Now to keep this lighthearted for everyone out there, because I know you guys didn't come just for the sadness, although the episode is Anohana, so you should expect that.
I'm about to say, it's Anohana, it's comes with the territory.
People do move forward, they do recover,
Yes.
but it took about a good month, maybe 2 months for us to really recover from that. And we are blessed with 2 wonderful children. We have Oliver and Ruby, who are, they're great children. And I'm very blessed that I did not like retract into emotions that would not allow me to be good parents to them, because that's exactly what Irene does. And there is even a line that Satoshi says about how she hasn't even left the house in 5 years. She is that much of a shut-in at this point.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's why it's such a big deal in the final episode where she has actually left the house to watch the rocket fire off.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a subtle moment, but you catch on and say, like, maybe she's ready to move on too. But that is as heavy as we get on this whole thing, and yeah, thank you, Karen, for digging deep down and finding the raw emotions to portray that kind of earnest sincerity.
Noah, before we move on, I want to say something.
Okay.
That probably wasn't easy for you to, like, come out and say, and I respect you and for coming out and admitting that, and honestly, I'm grateful you're my pal, man. This is...
I love you guys. I really do love you guys.
I'm about to start crying because I asked you just
all
to
right.
make sure if you
All right, let's get those fucking tissues. Let's get those fucking tissues.
I can't raise the tissues. We're states apart, Andrew. I know it's breaking the illusion, but I can't get the tissues.
We can't break the fourth wall, guys. Shit.
It's cool. It's cool. Let's talk about some lovesick teenagers to make ourselves feel better.
Oh, Lord.
That's a good idea. Thank you for your segues. That's exactly what we needed.
Oh, that's what we need right now, yes.
So, like we said, this is what you all came for. You all came to talk about the main 6. They're on the poster. They're the main 6. They are the Super Peace Busters. We're going to go through them all one by one because each of them have a different facet of not being able to move forward that we kind of need to discuss.
There's a lot to talk. Let's go.
So,
oh boy.
First up, let's talk about the one who arguably has the least focus in the series, and that would be, I'm gonna get this right, Chiriko Tsurumu. No, I butchered that, didn't I? Tsurumi. I always get that. I'm gonna call her by her nickname though, because all the characters actually have nicknames.
At least say the name in full once, and then say the nickname. Let's go with that.
Better known by her nickname, Suroku, who is voiced by Erica Mendez, who is not a person who needs any further introduction, and if you have not heard of Erica Mendez before, then I'm assuming that we need to educate you. Let's educate you. Erica Mendez has been in quite a few high-profile dubs in the California era recently. For one, she was Diane in Seven Deadly Sins. She has taken over as Sailor Uranus in the new redub of Sailor Moon. She was... everyone remembers this. Ryoku in Kill la Kill.
Ryuko, you fucking pleb.
I'm very bad. I need to get like a text-to-script translator that will say all the Japanese for me. But most importantly to this discussion, she was Tsubaki in Your Lie in April. Another.
Yeah.
I told you we're gonna make Your Lie in April references throughout this whole thing.
It's very relevant for this one in particular.
It's very relevant.
So before I hand it off, just to all you people who know, this role by Erica basically requires her to be the studious, ice-cold person who does not bear much of their emotions throughout the series, and we don't really find out why she's that way until the very end of the series when we find out her actual feelings towards one of the other characters who we'll talk about later.
It's pretty obvious, though.
But I think it's a little too subtle for most people to catch on to, but maybe you two people who are in this chat with me can help shed some light. How did Erica Mendez convey that emotion? Lilac, what do you think?
I think the main issue I have is the fact that the character doesn't seem to have much of a presence until the very end. And...
You're not wrong.
I mean, because it kind of goes into... Because all the other characters, they have these moments that just, like, make you feel for them, and...
Granted, she's more of the Ice Queen for most of this, which isn't a problem, it's just...
That's exactly what I wrote down in my notes.
Yeah. It's... This character brings a different dynamic to the table, but unfortunately, in my head, I end up getting focused with the characters who had to, like, bring in so much emotion.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
I kind of just
absolutely.
completely forgot that she was there sometimes.
But
that's not Erica Mendez' fault. Erica Mendez played this role beautifully. That's more on the fault of the character, if anything.
Or the show itself, but that's another thing.
The show itself, yes. But
we start to get a little more a bit of her near the end of the series. Like, particularly, there's one line that I do want to point out. It's the line, someone being super nice to you when you haven't earned it is the worst of all. And that's a reference to Menma being nice to the characters in her afterlife form.
Yes.
That I think that encompasses most of what her personality is like throughout the first 10 episodes of the series.
She's also very, she's very dead set on trying, whether she knows it or not, she wants to help Yukiatsu. Yes. She's like, if he doesn't break, then he's never gonna get through this.
Yeah. She is this very supportive character, though how she goes about it sometimes may not be the best method in the world.
At the very least.
She brought candles!
Yeah.
But
I brought candles, everyone.
But she, admittedly, I think she kind of reminds me of me sometimes, where I'll be that supportive person, I'll be that helpful person, but I also tend to bottle up my feelings and my emotions half the time, to the point where I don't let people see how I'm feeling, and then it just kind of grows and grows to the point where it explodes. And that's what happened to this character here when she finally just snaps when you get into episode 11, and she just goes all out. And to that credit and to that regard, that progression right there, I did enjoy how Erica Mendez performed that, because you can tell she's internalizing a lot of stuff. You can tell she's internalizing it to the point where she just can't take it anymore. And she has to let it out, or it's just going to get worse. So that's a very interesting progression in terms of that character, and I think Erica Mendez performed that wonderfully.
Okay.
As a question to both of you before I hand it over to you, Andrew, did either of you feel like her acting portrayed a mean-spiritedness at all throughout the first 10 episodes of the series?
I don't think she ever came off as being mean-spirited. It just seemed like
only time she was mean-spirited was to those other high school girls who were hitting on Yukiatsu.
Okay, yeah, that was less...
time, but she was good.
She never seemed like she wanted to hurt or say anything against her friends. It's the girls that were trying to hey, can you confess to this guy I like? It's do it yourself, you fucking cowards.
Yeah, that's the only time where you can say she was probably mean-spirited. It's just those other girls. That's it.
Okay. So,
all right. So go ahead and tell us what you thought, Andrew.
So, I am no stranger to saying this on this podcast before. Erica Mendez has some crazy fucking range, and every time I hear her, it's always really interesting. There are some shows, like the last show I did, Gozik, she was the most happy-go-lucky, preppy ball of sunshine in the world, and in this, she's the exact opposite. She is distant, cold, seemingly uncaring, and unfeeling until push comes to shove, and she bears her heart and soul for all to see.
At least you can say she wasn't friend-zoned by the ocean this time.
At least she wasn't friend-zoned by the ocean, or at least she wasn't friend-zoned by the violin. Anyways,
yes.
If it hasn't already been said, yeah, she's got some crazy range. Both of the Brainiacs have some scary range, but in this, Erica's the seemingly standoffish girl who thinks she knows Yukiatsu and has accepted that she'll never be the eye to his affection, but whether she knows it or not, she's still equally hurt by this notion. Erica's great at being a bit of a huge snarky bitch, but also being this someone who's very insecure and vulnerable. She puts the hairpin on just because she knows he gave her, Menma a pin in the past. And she wants to seem like she's better and smarter than everybody, but she's in just as much pain as everybody else over her feelings not being returned, and that everybody's following in the footsteps of this perfect girl who died before they really got the chance. And Erica Mendez, I'm going to say this, she's fantastic, but she's not close to being the best in this series. Part of that is, one, the character doesn't have as much to really show off, or show their stuff as much of the other characters. And second, any of the following characters are fantastic. Any single character in this show, like, the worst performance in this show is any other show's best. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, to be fair, yes.
Like, I'm not even saying Erica Mendez is a bad or worse performance. It's just outshined by some of the ones we're going to be talking about. But
It's the argument we had, because we had a similar conversation with Hyoka last night.
Mm-hmm.
We could call it the weakest performance of the show, but the show is still very phenomenal in and of itself.
But yeah,
so it's a weak performance, and it's that kind of argument we had last night.
Erica Mendez is phenomenal. Every time I hear her range is crazy good. I like her as Surumi, even if she's more in the background. She's accepted that role, and she does fantastic.
It's like Erica went to the recording studio thinking, I accept that my character will not be the standout of the entire show, but I'm still going to give it 120%.
Oh, she gave it 130
perfectly...
and then some. Fuck.
I'm going to say she gave it like 200%. Goddamn. And I love it.
The important thing that I got out of her performance, at least compared to everybody else, is that it's important that all 6 of the characters have distinct voices from one another, so that if you were to close your eyes and watch a show without, being able to see who's talking, you could still figure out who it is by their speech pattern or just their natural speech.
Absolutely, yes.
And so Erica's performance was absolutely different from everybody else's, and, she did good.
So what'd you think?
It was, like you said, not the most standout, but only because... even if she was written more into the show to be more relevant, it was gonna always be a little bit of an afterthought because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't think that she has any major conversations with Jinta. Most of her conversations are with
Yukiyatsu or with
Anjo. Anju. Yeah, so
I think there was probably only one time where she had a sit-down conversation with Jinta, but that was it.
You're right.
And it was fairly early on, I think.
So yeah, in spite of that, I have no complaints about how Erica portrayed the what we call the Ice Queen moments, and I especially have no complaints about how she finally bared her soul without really losing her personality in the final episode.
Oh yeah, no, she did.
It's very interesting to have a character go from being calmed and collected throughout the entire series, making quips about cross-dressing and how you should just give them the letter yourself, and then go into complete, Jerry Springer mode and tell everyone about what's really on her mind and what she's been bearing for the last 5 years of her life, all without really losing the distinct vocal timbre that made her who she is.
You're right.
And so Erica, we appreciate very much you taking second banana to all the other female characters in the show.
She's the best voice in every other show that she's in. So you know what? Sure.
Are we ready to move on to
yes.
Move from the unrequited love
this character
to the other unrequited love? You seem to have words about this one.
Oh, they are fantastic words.
Who are we talking?
We're talking about Atsumu Matsuyuki, or better known by his nickname, Yukatsu.
Yukiyatsu.
Thank you, Mr. Japan.
Gomen nasai.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Now this is the character who, in the character design sheet, has slanted eyes that look like they could cut the side of a glass if you wanted to, which is a very interesting character design. But character-wise, he's important because he is the character who actually really liked Menma and did not realize that there was another girl in the group, Suroku, who also did have a crush on him. And 5 years later, he still has yet to catch on to that. But who to voice such a somewhat unlikable character, ... Well, that would be our good buddy, Ray Chase. And Ray has been in not quite as much as everybody else in the list here, but he's starting to climb in popularity and relevance. His more notable roles are, he was Subarato Toto in Blue Exorcist: The Kyoto Saga. He was in Fairy Tale Dragon Cry as Zash. He was Tengo in Mob Psycho 100, and most recently, to high-profile releases, he was Shinta in Your Name.
I am shocked you have not mentioned the most obvious one, in that in Final Fantasy 15, he is the lead actor for Noctis.
He's not Hardy, first of all.
What is a Final Fantasy? If it was
There you
really
go.
a Final Fantasy, then there wouldn't be 15 more of them.
Okay.
So Ray Chase, getting to voice what we can only describe, I guess, as a bipolar character who puts on the persona of cool, calm, collected honor student for most of the series. And then we find out he, like the rest of the characters, has some real demons to deal with. Andrew, do you want to take a crack at Ray's portrayal of the character?
Okay, so I was talking about Erica Mendez's scary range. Ray Chase! I haven't gotten to talk about him nearly as much, but this actor's got some goddamn scary range. Like, he's an example of a voice actor who sounds completely different every time I hear him. It's crazy. And in this show, this man, this boy, goddamn Jesus fucking Christ. In this one in particular, he's a very sexy, standoffish, pretty boy, but he's a bit of an asshole, yet...
A bit?
But here's the thing. Every time he's an asshole to Jintan or everybody else, the thing that Tsurumi helps us realize, everything he says is also directed at himself. Every time he calls Jintan pathetic for still hanging up on Menma, he's even worse. Because
we have a word for that. It's called projecting.
Exactly! He projects his anger, frustrations on Jintan. Because in his mind, in every thing that matters, he's smarter, he's hotter, he's better looking, and he's more fit. But why does he still feel like he's losing to this guy? Because he never got the love of the one he cared about so much. And he never will, because she'll never get to return it, because she's no longer with him. And that destroys him inside. Completely to the point that... this actually seems like a thing I think I've seen before, where those who are emotionally distraught with those who have departed take on, like, the personality and features of those left away. Because I think that's why he dresses as Menma, why he has the wig, because that's, like, his way of coping or making him feel like she's still there with him.
There's a sense in a lot of people who are, and this show is very much about people who can't move past trauma, that they are frozen in time, and that clinging to any remnants or memory of a person, like rewatching videos of them or clinging to their belongings, is their way of coping with it.
And
one way that a lot of people who lose children cope is they will keep the bedroom of that child exactly the way it was and never update it.
Also, speaking of children, brief little thing, boy voice of Yukiatsu is Michelle Ruff. There's not much to say, just a little side note. Okay, as for when he breaks, because the thing about Tsurumi is she so desperately wants him to break. And when he does, fuck. God damn.
He needs to shave those legs.
He does shave those legs.
He does, remember?
I mean, if you're gonna wear a dress.
Tsurumi called him out. It's like, even if you shave your legs, you're still not gonna be Menma.
But the thing about this character, it's like, he's not even really an antagonist either. He's so trapped and upset. And like, every time he's mad at Jintan, or every time he's a shit to Jintan, it's because he projects him. You're right. That's exactly what it is. He projects his insecurities and his anger onto Jintan. And that's exactly what he does. And man, when he breaks, like, he goes from this very cool, badass, sexy demeanor to sobbing fucking mess. And oh my god, he brings so much. He's got so much bite to this performance. And I'm as stunned and impressed as I am. Goddamn, Ray Chase.
Now, as a question to both of you before I hand this over to Lilac.
Okay.
In the Hyoka episode yesterday, we talked a little bit about actors who are clearly not in high school trying to be high schoolers. Did either of you have a problem with Ray Chase? As,
no,
he sounds
absolutely like he could be a high school fuckboy.
God, I hope he never hears this
Yukiatsu.
episode.
Also, straight up,
fuckboy.
I call him a fuckboy. He actually kind of saves Anjo from a very compromising situation. And another source of conflict that comes between Tsurumi and her is that when he's thinking of moving on, he wants to go to Anjo. And that's like because he considers Tsurumi like a friend and nothing more, but Anjo is somebody he sees like as something that could be more, and he sees her as attractive, and he does kind of see her as somebody he wants to be with, and it's genuinely like a cool, like, he's a complex character. I don't even hate him when he acts like a shit, because I understand why he's a shit, and it makes total sense, and I feel so bad for him, and he breaks.
Andrew, we can have our peace therapy session later, but we have to let
You're
Lilac
right,
tell
you're
us
right.
about why Ray Chase is awesome.
Our 5-hour therapy session for this show.
We're not getting paid enough for a 5-hour therapy session.
No, we're not. I wish we were. But, oh my god. A lot of what Andrew said, I fully agree with. My god. This man. You poor human being. What you had to go through. Wow. Like
he had to go through. He's in like the top prestigious high school. What does he have to suffer through?
You're funny. I think I haven't brought this up yet, but I think what's unique with these 5 present day characters is their own coping mechanism with how they're dealing with this situation. With Tsurumi, she just internalizes it. With Yukiatsu, I don't know what the fuck is he doing.
Well,
his way of dealing with his past and his grief is probably among the most painful to sift through. And not painful isn't a bad thing, but painful because you just feel for him. I felt so hard for this kid. And just whatever the hell he's going through his entire series. And Ray Chase, like, I wrote 2 separate notes throughout this. I think the first one I wrote around the time when he's exposed as the quote-unquote Menma ghost. And then the second one was, I think, close to the end. So my first note I wrote that Ray Chase plays the fake strong guy who is extremely flawed deep down. When he broke down, I could feel his pain. And then later on, I basically wrote in a short sentence, Ray Chase breaks so easily, I'm gonna cry. And I drew a frowny face. Like, Ray Chase and his portrayal of Yukiatsu was just absolutely phenomenal. I felt everything that he was going through. And he goes through a lot among this cast of characters who go through a lot. But his story and his character arc was what stood out to me. And
it's like of all the 5, he's the one that you related to the most? Or like got the most emotion out of?
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is, all things considered. And just the way that Ray Chase portrayed that character arc and that progression was just absolutely phenomenal. I have a dubby contender here. Oh my god.
Spoiler.
It's hard to really, like, come up with words to how to describe this. It's just
perfect. That's the word you want to use.
Yes.
All right.
I don't want to use it because it's like a high standard. It's like, I don't know if it's actually perfect, but it may actually be perfect.
All right, there we go. That is the gold standard. Ray Chase is the new golden boy, is the golden fuckboy when it comes to voice actors.
I feel you, Ray Chase.
He's not a fuckboy. I was trying to make a statement. Ray Chase is a good boy, a very good boy.
I'm gonna say, Ray Chase, I feel you. I feel you. Whatever you had to go through to get that. Oh my god.
His range is scary, Steph. I hope you see more of his range now.
I need to see some more of him. Yes.
He's a One Punch Man in some places you might not expect. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Noah.
Okay, I don't have, like, you guys keep taking all the good lines, but I can say at the very least for his acting, I also didn't have a problem with him as a high school student, because yeah, it sounded believable as an anime high school student. If anything, he seems to have a bit of a twinge of growl in the back of his throat, which makes him stand out from Jinta and Popo, which we'll talk about them later, who have more higher tenor voices. And it's good that he has that, because his character design already has, like I said, everyone else has rounded eyes, but his eyes are definitively like rectangles almost, like angular diamond-shaped rectangles that already make us think that he may be up to no good, which is, like you said, like, it makes, he's got some layers to him that make you feel really, really sorry for this guy. And the way that that Ray personifies that is almost a bipolar acting. He manages to pull off both the suave outward appearance of a calm and collected, what's the word for it? It's like, what's the high schools that are in Japan where they're training to get into colleges? It's called, I can't remember what the word for it is.
Like a vocational school? No, cram school, excuse me.
Thank you, cram school is the word. As a cram school student, but then when we flip over to him, like, alone, he's snotty, he's bratty, he's harsh on everybody else, and it's all because he's got his own demons that he can't deal with. So yeah, Ray was like probably the most surprising of the roles, because I didn't really like this character very much when I watched it in sub, and I still don't quite like him, but Ray made me sympathize with him a lot more, which is hard to do because he's designed to be less likable, at least the least likable of all the characters. But Ray's acting on it acted well enough that you just feel sorry for the guy. More than anyone else, you just feel sorry for him, because not only is he coping with it in a weird way, but you also get the feeling like he won't accept anyone else's help, because he feels he has to be the one in charge. He wants to be the leader. He wants to be the reliable person who actually brings food to a goddamn barbecue instead of fireworks. What is wrong with Anju? It's a lot of layers to it. So yeah, way to go, Ray, on that one.
Okay.
So now that we've covered the most two important characters, I think we're about done with this for tonight.
No, we've got a lot more. Come on.
So just to kind of recap here, we have Tsurumi, who's the internalizer coping mechanism. We have Yukiyatsu, who
is a projector
/ psychologically damaged person.
And let's go on to
the person who runs away. The person who runs away. Let's face it, he just runs away.
But
from things.
let's lead into the precious cinnamon bun, Popo.
Yes.
Let us talk about Tetsudo Hisakawa, or best known by his nickname, because I don't even think we all know him by his nickname.
He's Popo.
He's Popo.
He is the big guy who dropped out of school, is a globetrotter, is just going around the world, and is the highlight of humor throughout the entire series, who is putting on, saying all the jokes, lighthearted, super supportive to everyone else. It's just the warmest, biggest teddy bear that you could possibly meet in anime.
He's also the only one confirmed to have actually gotten laid.
Ah,
this
the
is also
Vietnamese
true.
women. They are just something else, aren't they?
And again, his coping mechanism is he just runs away from things.
Yes.
That's his coping mechanism.
We'll get more into that later.
Again, it's very unique. Yeah, it's very unique that the show just covers a bunch of different coping mechanisms.
But first,
now it's very interesting that this is the character actor who they got for this, the voice actor.
Oh man,
is one Keiji.
Keiji.
Did I add an extra syllable again?
Yes.
Keiji Tang. But you know, I'm not going to call him Keiji Tang because I'm going to call him by his nickname. I'm going to call him Juicy Flanagan throughout the rest of the night.
Oh my
God damn it, no.
Hey, if you had the option between one name or Juicy Flanagan, which one would it be?
Not Juicy Flanagan, I'll tell you that.
So, Juicy Flanagan has voiced
God damn it.
a lot of across the board roles. Also, someone who seems to jump between California and Texas. He was Sumugu in Kill la Kill. He is Ren in Magi. He is Hendrickson in The Seven Deadly Sins. And one of Lilac's personal favorites, he was in Prince of Stride as Nobuhiko? I think that's how you pronounce it.
No, but what now?
I didn't even know he was in Princess Stride. I didn't finish the dub. So I don't know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic because I know that you and a couple other people didn't quite like Prince of Stride to begin with.
Okay.
I mean, Princess Stride was an okay series, but...
Yeah. So.
Now, if you were telling me Danganronpa at the end of Hope's Peak Academy, that's another story entirely.
He's 3 individual, completely different characters.
Like 5 fucking characters
He's 3.
in the Danganronpa franchise. It's ridiculous.
He's 3. He's Yasuhiro Hagakure in the Danganronpa 1 video game. He's the homeroom teacher in Danganronpa 3 Future arc. And he is Precious Cinnabon Gonta Gokuhara from Danganronpa V3. Anyways, we will go into that. We'll go into that. Not now.
Keep your Danganronpa
We've
fan.
already talked Danganronpa to death. We've talked Danganronpa to death. We've talked Danganronpa to death.
So
but Gonta is still cinnamon roll.
I'm gonna go first, actually, talking about KG because
go ahead.
This was the role that I thought could have been screwed up the biggest and was the most entertained by, to say the very least, because. The character is a big guy, but they're obviously we're hopefully going to get a tenored voice character because he's still supposed to be a high school age student who's got this like bigger than life personality, like almost like a stand-up comedian. And that's really hard to do in voice acting where you have to script everything out. You have to get all of like the dips and swells with the larger than life personality. Man, Juicy got some chops, man. He is all over the board with this character, and the acting on it is it almost feels improvised. A lot of the dialogue, like he speaks about how he's on Team Menma and he's excited to see his friends again, and he alludes a whole lot of character into him. A lot of the speaking patterns on it are just all over the. It's almost like what we're doing in this podcast here, where we're not scripted. We're just going off the cuff and like larger than life living. And kind of like making everybody else feel just a little bit happier because he's around.
So basically what you're saying, it just sounded the most natural in the world.
I don't even know if I can call it the most natural. I just call it like the kind of person who I want to go to the bar and have a drink with, or I don't even know. Whatever else he's doing today, I will go with this man and have a good time because
he will be your drinking buddy, Noah. He will be your drinking buddy.
Now, see, I'm not even one who goes out to bars to drink. I'm more like in the let's buy a bottle of Jack Daniels, take it home, pour it in some Coke and ice cubes, and
he's
have a
still
good
your
time.
drinking buddy in either situation.
Exactly. So yeah, and of course, as with all the other characters, though, he is a broken individual. He's masking all of those fears and emotions he's got by being in the way that he is. And when we get into the later scenes, one in particular, we actually have our hearts broken very heavily.
Oh, boy.
There's one scene where Popo is looking for Menma because, like we said, no one except Jinta can see.
It's in episode 5, I think you're talking about.
Popo is looking around, saying he wants to see her, but he's trying to keep the mask up. He's talking about how he's really excited that she's back. Why don't you show yourself, Menma? It's me, your old friend Popo. And you can just start to see the mask starting to crack as the tears swell up. And internally, we're all thinking to ourselves, this man is too pure for this earth. He should not be going through this much pain. Please let me put my arms through the screen and give him a hug.
Yeah, because he's starting to become much more frantic during that scene. It's like, why won't you show yourself to good old Popo? And then, what hits the most is episode 11 when they.
There's actually one moment before that where it's like. They want to reenact the scene where it's like, do you like Menma? And it's like everybody else is kind of like conflicted. Like Tsurumi is the only one that's actually like the most against it. But Popo's kind of realizing he's got some shit that he realizes that he's starting saying, say it. Like, it's so out of character. And he's the one to tell him to not run away. It's like, do you want this to turn out like last time? It's like, oh shit.
And then we have the shrine moment.
Oh fuck. Man.
Where, oh my god, where you learn that Popo possibly could have had the biggest guilt hidden in him of all of these characters.
He watched it happen.
Yeah. Popo watched Menma fall into the river, and he couldn't do anything. He didn't know what to do, so he just ran. Hence the coping mechanism of him just running away.
Symbolism, goddammit.
And I'm sure that we all know someone like that too, who seems to, like, I know that the one person in real life that it kind of reminded me of was Robin Williams, actually, because I know there've been a lot of pieces about how he was dealing with depression himself, and you would look at his performance and be like, how can someone this happy acting have depression? And
it's a whole act, yeah.
Some people who have depression, they fake it, they hide it. This is like an animated version of that.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
So,
because again, Popo's coping mechanism is running away.
But he's also... it's putting on a face. It's putting on an act. It's putting on this happy-go-lucky, larger-than-life persona. Like, half of that is genuinely him, but in some regards, it's his way of trying to hide the fact that he feels so bad.
Right.
I mean, he says at one point that he I don't sweat the small stuff.
So...
Because, if he did sweat the small stuff, he'd be a nervous wreck.
Okay, So
what'd you think, Andrew?
Oh boy. First things first, I want to give credit to the fact that in the dub, Popo has some of the several greatest lines of dialogue in the entire show.
Yes,
you're not wrong.
Like, one of my favorite exchanges was him with Surumi, actually, where she's like, man, these German sausages are the worst. And he's like, I see what you did there. And another one that was of note was when he was peeing in the woods, and he said, my junk has elevated to a higher plane upon, like, finding the ghost of Menma.
It was making a perfect arc.
It was making a perfect arc.
That was amazing.
That's not even the best one. The best one, bar none. This one I genuinely did see coming. It's like when Jinta and Anaru are in the base by themselves. She trips over, she does the Emmy thing, and she's the one that pushes her arm against the wall beside him, which he's not the one doing that, she is, so I thought that was pretty neat. And she's like right on top of him after almost falling on. So he comes back, he's like, hey y'all, you want to get some food? He sees that it is a very compromising, almost sexual position. The thing that he screams, I need an adult!
I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the original.
I don't think it was either, but man,
no, that's what that part brings me back to my point where it's like modern day slang.
No, I
it was great,
lost
though.
it. I didn't anticipate it. I was laughing for a solid 2 minutes, couldn't breathe. I'm like, not only the timing and the delivery of that was perfect. Okay, so Popo, KG Tang as Popo. I wanted to get that bit of humor out because I really want to say this right. He is a large and seemingly intimidating man, and Keiichi Tang is usually used to playing, like, in anime, the big, gruff badass. Like, yes. I'm used to him in other performances, but in almost every time I hear him in anime, he's a big, gruff, manly badass. In this, he is, like, this goofy, fluffy, soft, lovable boy whose persona is larger than life. Honestly, even then, when it hurts all the more, because he's so genuinely distraught when he wants to believe Menma's there, and when the scene at the shrine, he's so upset and broken, and I hear what sounds like Keiji cracking and breaking, and it hurts, because everything he exudes is full of life and love and energy, so when it actually hits that he's so distraught and guilty, it hurt, and everything. I'm gonna be honest. When I've been watching the show, I've been debating who I think is the standout performance in this show. None of these were easy for me to agree on. Any one of these could be the best. But I gotta say, I think, bar none, Keiji Tang as Popo is the best performance in the show.
That's interesting.
That wasn't easy for me to. That wasn't easy for me to come to. Any of these.
No, I completely understand.
The only reason I'm saying that is because I genuinely don't think I've ever heard Keiji go this hard in both this light levity comedic cinema bun to this tragic broken figure who's so much like dying inside at the guilt he feels. It's fucking fantastic. He gets all of it, and it is stupendous. Nothing but praise for KG Tang as Popo.
All right, that's 2 out of 3, giving the gold star to KG Tang. Lilac, you have the audacious task of telling us if there's anything that we missed.
Well, my best performance is Ray Chase. So...
There's no
We're
wrong.
not talking about best performance.
What do you think of
No,
Popo?
I'm just saying. No.
Yeah.
What was the words that Andrew used earlier? It was about crazy fucking range. Yeah, KG Tang has some crazy fucking range. First of all. That was one of the first notes I wrote down, too. Because Andrew is right. Normally when you've seen KG Tang in anime series, a lot of the time it's these badass, manly kind of characters. But going from those manly badass characters, but then recently, not just saying with Popo, fucking Gonta.
We're not gonna talk about Dang It Grandpa. We'll be here all night.
No, I know. I'm just saying though.
It broke your expectations of what you thought this was gonna sound like.
Exactly, because the fact that KG Tang is capable of not only playing these badass motherfuckers over here, like Guts from the new Berserk, for instance, here, he's able to play the precious cinnamon roll character Gonta. He's able to play the rather boisterous yet kind of funny, laid back kind of character, which is Popo here. Is just amazing, first of all. But when you get to the emotional beats that he has to go through, and you see him break, I think every moment where you see one of these characters break, that's where the true test lies for these performances. And when KG Tang broke, like completely and finally broke, not just those little hints that we saw here and there, when he fully broke, you could feel it.
Yeah, it was an accumulation throughout the series that was like, this guy. Yeah.
All came tumbling down, goddamn.
Yeah. Like, because with these characters, the moment that they break, personally, I think that's where the test in their performances comes from. Because they have to make that transition seem natural, seamless, and just hit you hard. KG Tang, considering the personality and the character that Popo is, he made that work so wonderfully. Because, again, Popo is this happy-go-lucky kind of guy, like, hey, what's up? Let's hang, come on now. And then you just see him just snap, and he's just done. Like...
That is their therapy session.
Yes!
That
shrine scene is the therapy session, because...
Oh, it's what they needed, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, because that's where Popo and Tsurumi, that's where you finally see the two of them in particular break. Like, all the other characters at some point have broken in some form or fashion, but these two characters, Popo and Tsurumi, that's when they break.
Yes.
And for KG Tang, it was just, my heart.
All right.
My heart. I wanted to give Popo a hug.
Oh, he gets all of the Menma hugs.
He gets all the Menma hugs. Oh.
He really does. That's a good point. She seems to jump on him the most. Although, as he points out, I may be big, but I'm not your jungle gym.
Yes.
That's funny.
But yeah, KG Tang,
So,
my heart.
So I'm glad that me and Andrew agreed on the who we thought was the standout performance, and obviously he had really strong material to work with.
I'm gonna be honest, and any of these 6 could be anybody's fair choice for the best in the show.
I will admit, yes. Like, a spoiler for the rest of the podcast, we're not going to have, like, a lot of negative things to say about any of this.
Probably not.
No, we're not.
There will be some, but not a lot.
Moving on.
Moving on to another one of those characters, we're going to jump from happier than life character.
We're gonna go from
to
best
someone
boy.
With no filters.
We're gonna go from best boy to best girl.
that Andrew, we don't have to label a best and worst boy girl in every show. Sometimes every girl can be best girl.
You're right, but she's my favorite.
That show is called My Hero Academia. No,
you're right.
This is not My
You're
Hero.
right, but she's my favorite.
And you know what? I can easily see why. This character, who is apparently Andrew's favorite, and for very good reasons, is Naraku Anju, or better known by her nickname, Anaru, who is the pigtailed, how do I describe her here?
Garu
She
gal.
she is the character who plays the video games, has zero filters in her personality, and has an unfortunate tendency to base her attitude and what she likes and does based on the expectations of other people around her.
She's a poser in high school, basically.
That's a negative connotation, but...
It's a negative connotation, but that's what you're trying to convey.
Hence her coping mechanism.
As an insight into her personality, she wore glasses as a girl for eyesight reasons, but she does not wear them anymore. She has ditched the glasses and has decided that, she's too cool to be seen with glasses. Which is incredibly funny because in one of the last episodes, she's actually having a bit of a breakdown moment, and we see that she has put the glasses back on.
Basically the whole thing is that she's trying to disguise herself as somebody else,
Yes.
That's exactly what she's trying to be. She couldn't be this person that she wanted to be. She couldn't have what she wanted. She transforms herself to try and hide as somebody else that she's not.
Yeah.
And so many times throughout the series, from her peers and people who are presumptuous and shitty around her, assume her to be this huge bitch, this huge slut, the kind of person that would let anybody do anything to her, and she's not. She's anything but. She's this person with feelings, personality. She's into dorky stuff. She's into cute stuff. She doesn't have the love hotel face that she is supposedly has.
The love hotel face. That outburst from Jinta is the best.
But I get.
Maybe she looks like she's gone to a love hotel too. Okay, what?
Basically,
not really the compliment.
I get what they're trying to say is that she. Yeah. I know everybody thinks that she's this huge slut. She's not. She's anything but this. She's this huge dorky sweet person, and that's absolutely what she is. And she's the one who's so in love with Jintan. And so jealous of Menma, and that's tearing her up inside because she's so happy that she could reunite with him again and become close to him again. But she knows, it's because of a person who she's already lost to, even in death. And the idea of what happens after that. Does she just want Menma to go so she can finally have Jintan again? Or does she genuinely miss and still treasure Menma? That's something that tears her up inside. And fuck it, I've already said too much. Let's go into it.
Fair enough. So, thank you. The descriptor on that, then, that long descriptor should make you think, well, who in the world could they possibly get to voice all of that personality?
Boy. I'm getting your Lion April flashbacks now, are you?
I think I have, I'm fiddling around here with the cast list, and I think we could probably get one more actor.
I think we can!
It's Erica Lindbeck! Woohoo!
Huzzah!
So Erica Lindbeck, who is one of the Erica Squad.
The Erica Squad, I forgot that was a thing.
Has been in a lot of different things from the California area. Some of her more high-profile roles was as Jericho in Seven Deadly Sins, Nori in Sword Art Online, Ellie in Love Live. I think Megan would kill me if I didn't mention every Love Live character necessary, but the one character who all of us are thinking of in this particular vein is her role as Kaori in Your Lie in April. Now that we've reminded you of that sadness fiesta into this other sadness fiesta, Lilac, how does Erica Lindbeck portray all of those emotions of someone who is unrequited love, masks her emotions by trying to act like everybody else, can't be what she wants to be, and all she wants to do is play Nokemon and catch that Pikachu?
Copyright free.
Well, first of all, this is in no way county from your line April.
No.
First of all.
Well, she has. Well, I think she has some of the same emotions, but she doesn't have quite the. She has no filters. Is the problem with Anaru.
Anjo has no filter. Anjo
Yeah.
has no sense of a filter.
And I love her for it.
It's great. Not only because she doesn't have that filter, and hearing Erica Lindbeck with no filter is a lot of fun, but but Anjo, her coping mechanism being that she just transforms herself into someone that she's not.
Like her two friends who we see at the beginning of the series are two like gal girl type characters who like to go play karaoke and hang out with boys after school.
Yep. It's again, like, now that we're talking more about like the nitty-gritty and coping mechanisms for all of these characters, it's very interesting to see how these characters each respond to each other and to themselves. Because Anjo has unrequited love. Anjo has jealousy in her. She's not spiteful. I don't feel her as a spiteful human being. And I think Erica Lindbeck was just... I really liked it. She mixed the aspects of what, with Anjo trying to fit that mold of the gal persona, but she's still hiding her actual feelings and who she truly is, because not only is she trying to fit this new mold, I feel like she's also trying to hide herself.
Oh, definitely.
She's...
one of the there's a trope in anime that if a character's got pigtails, she's gonna be a tsundere character.
Right.
Did you get a tsundere vibe off of Erica's
Not
acting,
even.
though?
I mean, there are twinges that make you seem like that, but considering this, if we took this being a coping mechanism into effect here, if we consider that now, it's not her. She is this sweet, nerdy, sometimes mouthy individual who just wants to be accepted. Because
Which is something that I think a lot of high school or even elementary school girls can relate to.
Yeah, but not for her, not just be accepted by the entire world and her school and everything, but being accepted primarily by Jintan.
Okay.
She wants Jintan to notice her, but he has not. She's going out of her way to try and change that. And maybe she thinks becoming this popular gal girl will get her that attention from Jintan. I don't know.
Well, they don't really interact with each other after he stops coming to school, but we do find out that she was at least very glad that they did decide to go to the same school together.
And she was trying to push him to at least come back to school.
Yes. She was the main motivator to try and get him to come back to school.
Alright.
It's not like I want you to come back to school or anything, but...
Yeah, tsundere.
No.
Okay.
No, I think a lot of it is just a front that she's putting because she wants to try and get that attention from Jintan.
Definitely.
And Erica Lindbeck here, because there's a lot going on with Anjo and this character. There's a lot going on with these characters.
It's fucking fantastic. That's why we're going so long, because there's so much to dissect.
I know! There's
it's
so
amazing,
much to dissect with these characters, yes.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting. I just want to point out that Jet was talking in the chat about how he thought that this was he remembered that this was a 20 episode series. It's only 11 episodes, but they crammed a whole
It's
lot
so
into
dense, and it doesn't feel like it's rushed or nothing like that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
That's one of the reasons that it's so enjoyable to watch. But
yeah, there's a lot of context in here, and a lot of stuff you can dive into. But yeah, I think with everything that Anjo is as a character, I think Erica Lindbeck just pulled that out wonderfully.
Okay.
Nice.
So I'll be brief since I gave a lot of my thoughts on the character in our introductions already. It's very clear that I like her a lot. As for Erica Lindbeck as Anaru, she's phenomenal. She's got full range, there's a full range of sensitivity, sass, and snark, while still being sincere and vulnerable. She's got a lot of emotions on full display here. There's so much to Anaru as a character. She's got a lot of layers. Her character is one that is troubled and judged, and there's a lot more to her under the surface of who she really is as a person, and she stuck out to me so much. Lindbeck's mannerisms and her particular tone of voice is perfect for Anjo, because she's very snarky, and she's kind of a little bitchy and sarcastic, but she's also kind of adorable, and she's very flustered at moments when she gets embarrassed about certain things. It's just... Okay, I'm gonna keep rambling on this. Let me just say it like this.
Andrew, do you have a new waifu?
It's not even new.
Nina on a shelf with your figurines of girls that you
No. Okay, first of all, shut the fuck up. Secondly, yes, Anjo, I really like this character. I wouldn't give a shit if it was just, Anjo's fucking hot. It's yes, she's hot, but what's there to it? But no. There's a lot of character to it. There's a lot that she struggles with. There's a lot that she's dealing with. Her emotional, her romantic issues. Her idea that she doesn't want to be seen. She wants to create the image, but she doesn't want to actually be judged as this dirty skank or something that goes around the school. And that she wants to be noticed and accepted by her friends after all these years. She's got this issues with the... Gosh, Mom, you don't understand. But she's also, after meeting with Memba's parents, she realizes what it's like to be a parent, to have your kid that's no longer there, and that it hits her personally. There's so much to this character. I really like her arc a lot, and it's really interesting. So I love Anjo as a character, and I think Erica Lindbeck is fantastic. Honestly, if KG didn't steal the show, she would be my favorite in this dub.
Well, she definitely has a lot of great material to work with, but yeah, I can't disagree with either of you. I wanted to go into this and say maybe she was too over the top, but no, I can't say that. She is perfect level of bubbliness, and in the original Japanese, the character does have that kind of archetypal tsundere type of voice. It's not I want you to come back to school or anything, kind of.
She doesn't sound like a cartoon character or an anime character. She sounds like a person.
That is why I like this, and this is one of the reasons that adaptations to English is so critical, because we'll talk a little bit later when we get to Menma about how some tropes may not translate very well, but if they tried to get a voice actor who sounded exactly like the Japanese for Anju, they would have gotten someone who would have been a lot less tolerable than when we get with Erica, who brings all the energy to it, while also bringing a human warmth to it, as someone who, like you guys have all said, clearly has some issues with how she wants other people to perceive her.
Yeah.
And it's that bubbliness to Erica that I also really, really like. And because of that, she seems to have the most mental breakdowns of all their characters, because whereas everyone else is kind of masking what they're thinking, she's not really masking anything very well at all.
She'll just blurt it out.
She's got, I think she may be the first person of the cast who actually full-on admits that she regrets her actions as a kid, because she flat out admits in one point that she was actually kind of glad when Menma died, because that meant, now I guess it's my turn to be to be best girl in the show, and she's awfully heartbroken that did not actually happen. So yeah, Erica getting cast in this and just getting to go full bubbly personality on this was a real highlight in the series, and helps to round out the cast by having someone who is a bit of it kind of fits some of the archetypes that we peg this the pigtailed gamer girl for, but brings a whole lot of humanity and warmth to it that you could only get out of a well-cast English dub.
Absolutely.
So now that we've covered our bases on the 4 characters who are, suffering through things, but at the very least, they do not have a ghost following them around, I think it's time that we crack open some ramen and add an egg to it and scramble it in there. Let's talk about the scrambled man himself, Jinta Yodomi Jintan himself, the leader of the Super Peace Busters, who 5 years later has no longer going to school, full-on NEET, living at home, and is unable to do anything with his life after losing both Menma and his mother back to back, which would probably be the end of his story if it wasn't for the fact that he starts seeing the ghost of Menma, who he admittedly thinks is just summer heat, but, turns out to be, no, this is some supernatural stuff going on. They never quite explain that, but that's not at all the point of the series. What's important is get the guy out of the house. He needs to get on with his life.
Look, I'm sure this would be a very different show if we explained all the spiritual, scientific methods for how a dead girl has aged and appeared before him. Like, that's not really the point at all.
Yeah, this is more like Ghost than anything else. It's like, we're not really going to go into the how, we're going to talk about the emotions of it.
Fuck it, spirits and shit, yo.
Yes.
Just imagine Menma just saying, why am I alive? Fuck it, spirits and shit, yo.
That is, you're right, that wasn't really the point of the whole thing. What is the point, though, is getting a standout English voice actor to voice Jintan. And in one Griffin Burns, they found their Jintan. Now, Griffin Burns doesn't have as many credits as some of the other actors we talked about, but he is coming up in some notable roles that, this definitely would be a boost to to anyone's resume, so we'll probably be hearing him in a lot more California dubs going forward. But in the past, though, we've heard him in Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans as Yamagi. We heard him in the OVA Cyborg 009 vs. Devilman as Cyborg 0018. We heard him in Kuromukuro as Jundai, and he was in both seasons of Anjin as Ko Nakano.
He's also the voice of Shalnark in Hunter x Hunter.
So basically, you're telling me about series that I've never seen before.
Right. So
I've never seen this man before in my life.
Never? Oh, well,
No.
In that case, I think you should get to go first in describing to us what did or did not work about Jintan's Griffin. Or Griffin's Jintan, rather.
Smooth.
Yay!
The voice of Griffin Burns will be provided by Jintan.
Jintan Yanami is playing Griffin Burns. No.
They left off the page and entered the recording booth. But anyways, go on.
A lot of times when I first hear a voice that I'm not familiar with, I tend to make a connection with the voice actor to another one that's very similar to him. In Griffin's case, I was actually like, he reminds me of Yuri Lowenthal, believe it or not.
I can hear that.
I can too.
Yeah, you can hear it.
There's
Like some
quite
of
a
those.
bit of... I don't know which one you were thinking of, but I did hear some Simone in there. From Gurren Lagann.
Never seen Gurren Lagann.
Fix that. Continue.
I think it's probably because I recently watched Tiger and Bunny for the classics episode, but that might have a lot to do with it.
Watched that. I'm sorry. I'm so glad that you watched that show.
I'm glad I did too, but yeah, it's hard to say because I would call Jintan's coping mechanism if we were to give it one.
Shut in.
Yes, easy enough. Shut in. He's a shut-in and he's shutting out the world.
He goes full on hikikomori.
Yeah. He's a hermit. He's referred to several times as a hermit in the show.
Which is the worst thing you can be in Japan because they judge people who aren't in school or in the workforce hard.
Yeah.
It's like they romanticize it a little in some anime because that's who they want to sell to, but no, that is something that you are judged harshly
junkie.
for. Okay, you want something to say, fucker? Let's take it outside. Continue.
No, stop it. But it's hard for me to put into words like what I think about Griffin here, mostly because I've never heard him before. But
was there any like standout quality to his voice or the way he delivered his lines to you?
I don't know, actually. I think this is one of the first times where I am actually stumped and a loss for words because I don't really know how I feel about it. It's weird because I'm pitting this performance against a lot of performances that are already so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to say or how I feel about it, honestly.
Can I ask, did you dislike any part of it?
No, I didn't dislike it.
Okay.
I do like it. But I think part of my problem is compared to some of the other performances and some of the emotional progression that these characters go through. I think that might have a lot to do with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, where I felt like there were other characters who had a lot more emotional baggage on the table, and it's just like Jintan is just there as a catalyst of sorts.
Okay.
That's an interesting way to
So
look at it.
to be fair,
it's hard for me to really. It's really hard for me to talk and describe it. It's just.
All right, no, so let's not try to like force it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I want to go.
Go, Andrew.
Okay. So part of that might also be because he is the protagonist who, for most of the show, and as it's revealed, part of the thing about Jitan is he is at a loss for how he feels.
You're right, yeah.
That's the thing. And I like all the things you're saying. I don't think they're bad at all. And I think they're completely perfect and intentional for what Jitan is trying to go for. And
you're right, yeah.
I'll say this for Griffin. All these, when I saw this cast list, I saw names to these characters and I'm like, yep, I could see that, I could see that, I could definitely see that, I could see that too. Griffin Burns, I knew him in one role, and he was very, he didn't show off a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to feel about him as something as complex as Jintan. And you know what? Watching the show again, he is a very strange character. He is sort of lost in his emotions, and as it's sort of revealed, one of the things is he didn't really know how to handle his emotions. He didn't know how to feel about Menma dying. He didn't know how to feel about his mom dying. He just sort of closed himself off and just sort of faded away. And one of the things that's important and powerful in the show is by the end, he is screaming and yelling and crying and letting it all out. And that's the progression for this character. With Griffin Burns, I'll say this. He's got a full range of shit that he's got to work with too as well. Ambivalence, he's got deadpan, sorrow, anguishness. He's got this super awkwardness when it comes to public situations. Like those bits when he's trying to divert attention away from Anjo. Like, he's extremely awkward and, like, having trouble getting the words out, like, forcing himself. Like, when he's trying to interact with customers, he's got this really awkward delivery, and that's perfect for what Jintan's trying to be, is he's this awkward person who's not in control of what he feels or doesn't understand how he feels. There's so much and so many complicated, conflicting emotions throughout this entire show, but this character and Griffin's performance, we spend the most time with, and I think Griffin and Jitan as a character is a encapsulation of so many conflicted moments and not understanding which ones you're supposed to let out at the right time until it just all comes pouring out in this goddamn cathartic outburst of crying and just like happiness, joy, sorrow. I really didn't know what to expect with Griffin Burns. And honestly, he's a fucking voice I'm going to be looking out for in the future after this. I was surprised and impressed.
And that is one of the best things that you can say about any role, is like, if it's a kind of role that puts you on someone else's radar, that is to be commended. Yeah, is to be applauded.
Huzzah!
So, yeah, and I'm gonna agree with both of you on the, well, at the very least, I'm gonna agree with Lilac in the, I have the least amount to say about him, but that's interesting to me because Griffin's voice in this is normal. What I mean by that is we have this idea about what a typical anime protagonist will be. He's going to have a tenor voice, he's going to have some snark to him, he's going to be downtrodden, but he's also going to be the glue that holds his group together. We see this over and over and over again. And I love this one scene in School Rumble, actually, where they point to that type of character and they say, in a regular anime, he would be the lead character, but he's not because Tenma is best girl. But in this show, Griffin gets to be normal sounding, and that's not a bad thing, because he starts out being more the shut-in voice, but by the time that he's gotten throughout, like he started to open up a lot more, that transformation is really satisfying to watch. Like you said, Andrew, it's cathartic. And Griffin getting to convey the different parts there, going from die, 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 you breeders, die, to I found you! We found you! Is quite a bit of a range that I'm kind of surprised that we haven't heard him in more leading roles before, but I'm really glad that they put him on this one. So yeah, he's got normal tenor voice, normal sound to his actual speaking, like delivery, all that good stuff, but that's really what the character calls for. So there's not a single thing on his acting I can think of that I would have changed, like either directing or writing wise. He fits the catalyst of the group to hold them all together really well. So that's so we've just given everyone did really well all around. So everyone grab your tissue boxes.
I've got it right in front of me. All right.
We've reached the end. We've reached the final hide and seek game. And we're going to find her. We have to find Menma, guys. We have to find our lead character herself, the angelic and perfect Mako Hanma, or Menma as she is known to her friends, who is the ghost, the whole reason the show exists, and possibly the hardest actress to cast, because her Japanese voice had a very typical moe voice that's up in headspace, it sounds normal to a Japanese seiyuu, but has kind of a hard time. We have a history in English-speaking dubs of having a hard time filling that role. So, who do you guys think they could get to voice Menma? Well, it turns out it is not anyone you were thinking of, because it's a voice that I don't think we've talked about on this podcast before.
I don't think we have either, yeah.
I think at least only once. And
All
that was in the W Awards last year, I think.
Okay, so, and to give her full credit as a really stand-up voice actress, ladies and gentlemen, we have Miss Xanthi Wynn. Yay! Round of applause to everyone.
Round of applause! Now let's hear some of her roles.
Well, when it comes to moe-sounding characters before, she has voiced Yui in K-On!, she is Hanayo in Love Life, she is Yuki Nanako in New Testament of Sister... Wait, it's Testament of Sister
New Devil. That's what you're going
Thank
for.
you.
Okay.
The wording on
that
always
shit
throws me
show.
off. Yeah, that one. But probably most prevalent to this topic when it comes to characters who have died and come back to life, she is Fuyumi Yamagi in Blood Lad.
Thank you for bringing her up. That's the only role I know her for.
There we go. And
Yay!
I haven't seen Blood Lad. I know the premise of it.
Blood Lad is amazing, and I
was like,
okay,
we got it.
But
Blood Lad is amazing and funny, and this is where the origin of Spazzy Papenbrook, as best Papenbrook, comes from, by the way. And I think everyone should see Blood Lad and needs more seasons. That's just me.
Okay.
So like I said, this is probably the one role that is going to be really dichotomous for a lot of viewers. Not maybe us particularly, but other viewers of the show, because some people, even before the dub came out, did not like Menma as a character.
What?
So, yeah, there's some people found her annoying, or thought that she was too much of a goody-goody, or...
Well, those people are fucking
crankier people.
monsters.
Yeah, some of the crankier people out there who can't stand someone being a nice person, those assholes.
God forbid. Okay, so...
But I think, Andrew, you need to tell us, how did Xanthi convey an English adaptation of this very perfect little girl?
Okay, so I'd like to quote one of my favorite lines from Menma in this dub. And I would like to say that Xanthi you're not a loser chicken. You're a big winner chicken.
We're back to that again.
Or should I say a very big winner chicken?
God damn it, Andrew!
I had
That's a terrible joke.
No.
I've been
give you a free pass. Some jokes.
I've been giving that. I've been sitting on that one for 4 hours. Let me have this. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, you don't get it. That's a terrible joke.
Okay. Okay.
That is unforgivable.
Fine,
you will be blacklisted.
Fine. I'll go jump in a river later. Okay. Let me get this
Damn
out of my system.
No.
Out of my system.
Okay. We'll berate you in a minute. We'll berate you in a second.
Okay. With Menma and Xanthi, everything about her, from her demeanor and her mannerisms, they are completely that of someone who never grew up. Because she truly never did. Everything about the way she talks, from the things she says to the way she acts, it is completely childish. And she never actually sounds like she is like a teenager. She might look it sometimes, but she sounds like this child who's just kind of trying to have a fun time, is trying to make everybody's day a little brighter. She's jumping on everybody, like doing piggyback stuff. All the things, like when she hears her friends talking bad about each other, she's trying to cheer him up. That's why I love the winner chicken in time. But she sounds precious and adorable, and like you want to hug her and tell her everything's going to be daijobu. Not only that,
definitely.
When this character's hurt, and when she's upset about like her friends who are fighting and when they're breaking, you can tell it destroys her inside. And the delivery of those moments, and those moments when she's crying and she's really upset and she doesn't know how to feel, that she doesn't understand why she's still here, she doesn't understand why she hasn't moved on yet, and it's tearing her up. I think Xanthi's perfect at that. She perfectly encapsulates that level of kindness, innocence, selflessness, and sadness that Menma is as a character. She is Xanthi. She's completely spectacular performance and excellent showing as her as precious cinnamon ghost girl. Menma.
We're out of cinnamon, but we've used up all the cinnamon throughout this year. There's none. The bottle's empty.
The bottle's empty, but goddamn it,
we still got like a month to go.
We're gonna have to go.
We haven't had the. You're right. We haven't had the chance to talk about Xanthi much. She's been in a couple things lately, and she's been in some shows I really like. I love her in A Lull in the Sea, and she gets some dramatic moments in there too. But her as Menma. This, you're right, this really is a hard execution of cute, but being genuine as well. I think Xanthi, goddamn, nails it.
Alright. Point. Lilac, counterpoint.
I don't know if I have a counterpoint for you. Sorry, no. Can we just agree there's probably no dissenters here in the group today?
It's really hard to dissent tonight.
It's really hard to dissent it.
I was hoping one of us would be the hypercritical person would say well, this is a nice deconstruction of childhood mentality, but actually, if you
we're already talking. We've been talking.
I make terrible jokes, but I still have a fucking heart. Okay.
This kind of breaks through everyone's comfort barriers and says, no, you are a human. You have emotions. We are going to make you feel stuff.
Buzza, you will feel stuff. You will cry, bitch. Cry.
Here's the interesting thing, though. Most of the show, it didn't actually make me cry. It made me feel a little. It didn't actually make me cry. The reason why, it's a build-up. It's not a big cry moment here, there, everywhere. It's it builds, it builds, it builds, it builds, it builds, until you finally get to the letters. As soon as you got to the letters, because, my first watch, as soon as, because everything, it's because here's the thing. Menma, you always assume it's for Jintan, or everybody's thinking, because even Jintan's why am I only seeing her? Everybody's thinking, why is Jintan the only one who gets to see her? And that's the cause of dissent and chaos. It's why is this girl I love only seeing Jintan? Why is this person that we all care about only for Jintan? And it's because the wish was his mom, before dying, asked to make him cry. Which, boy,
Which
did
is
she...
a really cruel wish to have. But
I get what she's going for, but boy...
Yeah, it wasn't to, I want you to make my son suffer. It's, I want you to let my son know it's okay to feel
Exactly,
emotions.
and
Yes.
boy does he ever, and boy does she make ever... Because here's the thing, at the end, like, he's thinking, I want her to myself, because he's thinking he wants everyone to help, but at the end, it's like, I don't want her to go. I don't want her to leave me. And it's like, at the end, he realizes he's not the only one that feels that way. Everybody wants her to stay. Everybody cares about her. And the truth is, she cares about them all. So as soon as you get to the thing with the letters, oh man, I was gone. Like, at first it was like, she loves Tsuruko's kindness, Yukiyatsu's hardworking nature, Popo's humor and how funny he is. She loves how Honoru's so reliable. And I was good until then. The one that...
Okay.
The one that...
Dude, I think we all lost it by that
The one...
point.
No.
Yeah.
The one that fucked
Don't
me up.
remind us.
The one that fucked me up and destroyed me. Jintan's.
Can I just read what the letter said?
Yes.
Jintan, I love you. It's the kind of love that makes me want to be your wife. My heart. And she put a little smiling bunny sticker on the side.
Okay, so yeah, the thing is, it's revealed Menma was also in love with Jintan too. Which, and the whole exchange was like, do you think we could have, like, been married or had a life together? And it's...
Yes, they could have.
They could
That
have.
would have been perfect.
Oh.
Why did God not let that happen?
Oh, man.
Can I have
So-
words?
Yes, you can use
I'm
words.
sorry,
Can I
Lilac.
have words? Andrew, I love you, but can I have words?
You can has the words, I'm sorry.
Okay, so my thing is with Xanthi is I think she's really cute as Menma. And you're right, this is a character who never really got the chance to grow up. So Menma has a lot of innocence and naivety to her that just to some people it may come off as obnoxious, but for all intents and purposes of this character, Xanthi plays it very, very well. And I wrote this note very early on, the true test of her performance is the final episode. Not just with the letters, but where she starts kind of disappearing from everyone's view.
Yep.
Are you talking about the part where she starts disappearing and she's talking to herself about it, or when Jintan discovers her?
Can we talk about the dramatic parallel of her...
No, we may not. Go ahead, Lilac.
We've been talking forever, Andrew. Stop it. It's because I think when she was noticing that she was disappearing,
Okay.
because that's when her vocal performance started to shift a bit from this happy-go-lucky, I'm gonna stay with my friends forever, we're gonna try and get my wish granted, to I still need a little bit more time. There's still something I still need to do. Can you wait for me?
I'm not
Let
ready
me
yet.
finish. I'm not ready. Yes! And it keeps progressing and progressing to Jintan takes her to the secret base. All of a sudden, bam, he can't see her anymore. And she's just kind of there. But you can still hear her at the very least. And she's just telling them, we're playing hide and seek now. I'm not ready yet. We're playing hide and seek. Come find me.
I'm not ready yet.
Damn it, Andrew. You're going to make me cry.
I'm not ready yet.
Oh my god.
I think it got all of us.
That was the true test of Xanthi's performance, because her performance as Menma was very consistent throughout as this innocent, cute girl who never got the chance to grow up, who just wants a wish granted but she can't remember what it is. And then once she gets what she wanted, that's when she realizes, I don't want to leave yet. I still have something I need to do. I still want to see them at least one more time. And, oh my god, I'm tearing up just thinking about this. it really hits you hard when it hits you hard when her performance then shifts to that final episode, and the letters and the hide and seek game, and oh my god, Xanthi, thank you for playing this character. It's such a beautiful character, and it's so beautifully performed. I have nothing but high respect and high regard for this. Because it could have easily become that obnoxious character that people think Menma is.
Yes.
It could have easily done that. I never felt that at any point in time. All I saw was this little girl who never got the chance to grow up. And she's just doing what she can to help her friends be happy again. While trying to achieve her wish. And her character progression and that performance was just outstanding. I'm done. I need my tissues. Hold on.
Oh god. What do I have left to say on the whole thing?
I don't know.
The only thing I can add is that the standout part about her performance, I think, is she has a bit of a ring in her voice. Xanthi has, like, I'm comparing her directly to other Moe superstars like Lucy Christian or Bryn April, who have, you know, their own distinct way to voice characters in that pitch. But Xanthi has like a bit of a ring in the back of her voice that it really stands out. Like, it does convey the sense of not only is she young in heart, but also young in vocal performance as well. So when we get down to all of the happier and the sadder moments, I buy all of it. It's the voice of someone who is clearly has the innocence of a child. And it would not have been able to, like, believe any of it. Like, the emotional high points of this entire series would have been completely debunked if we didn't have that working in perfect synchronicity with all the other actors.
Absolutely. Really
well directed, well written. If you haven't seen this show yet, people, like, why are you watching us? Put the podcast down. Go enjoy the series. It needs to be experienced. It is something that's kind of important. Like, it fills a niche that almost no other series of modern time has quite been able to fill.
I have a question.
What's up?
I have an answer.
Would you say that this is something we could take to final thoughts?
So I'm trying to transition to. I'm
Yeah,
not
let's do
as
that.
good as segues as you are, Andrew, but yes, we're transitioning over to final thoughts. So, who would do this? Andrew, I know that you've got a lot of thoughts on the series. Can you tell us just your final thoughts on the acting performances?
I can be very quick on this, because there's a lot to say personally for everybody, but simply put, there is nothing bad in this dub. There is nothing bad from these performances. There is nothing that was bad or out of character in this script. Everything about this is superb, and this is one of those things I genuinely did not think I'd ever see happen, and I'm so glad it did. There's so many people to thank. Thank you, Patrick Seitz. Thank you, Aniplex. Thank you, Mari Okada, for making this happen. And thank you, Go90, for streaming this. Also, just a heads up, by the way, a little thing. Turn closed captions on. Please turn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks you for pointing
We
that
were going to have to bring that out at some point. If you want to watch the show, or fuck, if you're already here, you've seen the show, but no, if you want to rewatch the dub at any point, please turn on the closed captions.
Yeah, specifically if you're watching it on Go90's website or their app, because
it's pretty essential for those last couple episodes.
The closed captions, you would think that they're for the entirety of, like, it's subtitles all over again. It's actually not. It's for the signage and for the notes in particular. You're gonna need those captions on so that way you
because you're just gonna see the text and you're gonna be like, why are they crying? It's just paper.
Right, and predominantly because they find out pretty near the end of the show, which is really sad, that the only way that Menma can communicate
is through
with
the special her personal diary.
Is her diary, writing on her diary pages and holding it up to the camera.
But that's my thing. simply put, wrapping it up, this is a show that's near and dear to my heart, one of my absolute favorites. This dub does it so much justice, probably elevates it even further. I'm done. Go.
Thank you, Andrew. And I love you, man. I really, not like in an unironic sense, but like just you're a wonderful person. Thank you for bearing your emotions on this dub.
Same to you, my friend.
Lilac, my sister in arms, take it away.
Oh boy. Oh god. There is
no God. God is
There
dead.
is no God!
And we
There
have
is
killed
no
him.
God! No, this show, it's kind of going back to what we were saying at the beginning. This show has a lot going on for it, and it's an emotional roller coaster ride. And if there was one small misstep with the dub, it could throw the whole thing off. And thankfully that did not happen. This English dub here is absolutely phenomenal. Dare I say almost perfect, even. I hate using the word perfect. But it comes very close. It comes
We reserve it?
so close.
Only the best of the best.
But the direction and the writing is phenomenal. These performances, if you don't at least feel for one of these characters, then you probably didn't get the point of the show and the content.
Well, I mean, there are going to be some people who don't,
Right.
this doesn't resonate with them.
Right. I mean,
And that's okay.
Like, if you can at least resonate with one person in the show, because clearly you two resonated with Popo, meanwhile here I am with Yukiatsu.
And, I resonated with most of these characters, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
everybody had a
but
story.
Yeah, everyone had a story, but you felt the most with a certain character. And there's a lot of emotion and drive and compassion put behind this show for a story that is very complex. This is an amazing dub to go with it. It's probably one of, if not the best that I've seen this year, bar none.
And in a year with so many unusual decisions for things to license and dub, that's saying quite a bit.
Alright.
Yeah. And if you have not seen this show yet, or the dub...
We just spoiled the whole fucking thing. Your own fault.
Yeah,
I mean,
but...
You can marathon this thing in an afternoon.
I marathoned it in one day. But if you haven't seen this show or the English dub yet, you absolutely have to. There is... I know we've had the whole damn you Aniplex, fuck you Aniplex problems before. It's on a site that is easily accessible and you don't have to pay a subscription for it. You have no excuse to not go and see this show. There is absolutely no reason why you can't see this show right now. So go and see it. Because it's amazing.
If I can take the reins on this, I can actually list one reason why you may not want to watch this show. And that would simply be because it may be a little too raw for some people. And
okay, yes, fair.
Hopefully, most of you, I'm hoping all of you, have never experienced the loss of a friend or, God forbid, a younger relative as well. Because that strikes really close to you. Even those of you who think that you have, like, I can deal with it. I'm calm and cool as a cucumber. That's not gonna faze me. Everyone has a breaking point. And even if you find therapeutic ways to mask it or cope with it in ways that you think are adult, there is nothing immature about bearing your emotions and letting yourself cry and feel something. Whatever you may think about the rest of the world's perception of someone who has an emotional response to not even just death, but loss of friendship, which is a big thing that this series struck me with. Like, I first watched the show back when it was in simulcast back in 2011, and that was when I was in college, and it struck me because it reminded me of, I have some friends who I haven't talked to in a while. We just fell out of communication. I feel a bit sad about those friendships that have been lost. good times were had back then, but I kind of feel sorry that those we fell out of communication. Now, 6 years later, it strikes me in a completely different way because no one should have to lose a child. No one should have to go through the pain of watching their child be born from 9 months to being developed, watching them come out, and then having to almost immediately afterwards have to say goodbye to them. It will strike you in a way that no one should have to go through at all. This series is by no means a substitute for that, but it is a good way. It's a good condensement of admitting that we all are humans with emotions that need to be. You have to grieve. You have got to grieve in a way that is healthy, or else you will be stunted like these characters are. It's an example of everyone will fail to move forward, and if you're going to move forward, well, no ghost is going to come back and is going to help you move forward exactly, but maybe in a series like this, you will find the drive to think to yourself, I need to move on with my life, and I need to properly grieve anything bad that's happened. God bless Patrick Seitz and his team for taking it upon themselves to dub this 5-6 years after it came out. This came out better than I thought it would. I legitimately did not think that the dramatic moments on it would work as well in English. They pulled through in the clutch and really put something special together. Thank you guys. Cannot ask for anything better on this, which is probably the best thing that we can say about an English dub.
Yeah.
Jarrett.
So, group hug.
Jarrett, you're a good man, and I'm glad you were on this with me.
I'm glad you both were here as well.
We've talked enough. So much feels and emotion. Can we just give this dub a round of applause, please?
Hey!
Can we? Because this is the first time we're doing this, but like seriously, this
I want to go to bed.
It has no breaks. Can I go to bed too?
All the
it's already
there.
midnight.
No, not yet, Andrew. We have to send our fine viewers off who've gotten this far into the podcast off with a bang. And if you've gotten this far, if you've gotten this far into the podcast, the code word to put into the comments section is "Forget Me Not."
God damn you with your code words right now! You did this during Food Wars.
I feel like if you've listened far enough in an episode, you need like some sort of reward to say like you did it.
I mean, so, you're not wrong. But anyway, where can these fine folks find this show?
Well, it's not like we haven't been saying it throughout the entire episode, but if you missed it in the past 300 plugs, Anohana is available in dub for free on go90.com. It's this new streaming application that has a couple of different Aniplex series, almost all of them in dubs, actually. A lot of other series have live-action series, too, but we're not going to talk about those. And, like I said, you do not actually have to pay for anything on this one. I don't quite know what their deal is or why it's available in this way, but for the time being, the time we're recording, you can watch all the shows on go90.com for free. Go out and enjoy those. Or if you want to watch this in the original subtitles, we have been blessed to have the series re-added back to crunchyroll.com after it was taken off about a year ago. Now it's back on.
Just be warned, there's a major difference between 480p quality from 6-7 years ago to current 1080p quality. Oh, also, I have one more warning about watching Anohana on Go90, and it's this. I had just finished off the emotional high that was that climax, and was finally coming down from the emotional roller coaster that was this. Let me say this, autoplay on Go90 is fast. It takes 5 seconds before the next thing plays. So I was thinking maybe it's gonna go back to the menu as soon as I'm done with Anohana. No. As soon as the credits finish for Anohana, I'm finally breathing a sigh of relief. What's coming up next on Go90? The first episode to Arrow Manga Sensei. I just finished the emotional roller coaster of a goddamn life, and then it's like, hey, you know what you need? Emoto titties.
You think they planned that?
Not today, Satan. Not today. I noped out of there so hard. No, that is not an actual warning about the service. It was just the emotional whiplash of going from the climax to Anohana to the show trying to force me to watch Arrow Manga Sensei. I thought was funny. Continue on.
Thank you for pointing that out.
I wanted to
and
bring
also-
that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That happened to me too. I'm glad you warned me ahead of time because I hadn't watched the final episode, and then I looked down at what was coming up next. I'm like, I gotta make sure to pause this or to click off the screen before that happens.
And then there is a physical release of Anohana too, correct?
It is out on
there is-
DVD.
Well, hold on a second, because at the time of recording, there has not been a physical release of the dub. I don't.
It literally just
No,
came
there
out on
is.
Halloween.
It came out,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, it was okay. Thank you. So Aniplex did put this out in dub on Blu-ray very recently. So if you'd like to own a physical copy of this for your illustrious DVD and Blu-ray collection, you can go out and find it. By the way, that'd be a really good Christmas present. Here's my address.
I ain't getting you any flex shit.
Okay, so what about us? Who are we?
So,
What up?
Andrew, stop telling me how to dictate the order of what's gonna go on.
I'm tired and cranky. Okay.
I'm about to say, no, it's midnight. Let's just finish.
All right, well, Cranky Andrew, can you tell us where the fine listeners can find
Nice.
you in a better mood?
When I'm in a better mood, you can find me over on Twitter at MangaMan9000, where I talk about anime and memes and dogs and shit, and I also do this.
Thank you very much. We're glad that you do this. Lilac, do you do anything in the World Wide Web?
I do a lot of things, but I mostly work. My name is Stephanie. I am also known as Lilac on the weird interwebs. When I am not acting as the host wrangler of the group, I have my own Twitter account at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled as a musical review and not a standard review, where I basically just post about how boring my life is generally. Let's face it, I have no life. I am like slightly Jintan because I am a hermit.
We are your life. We are
Yes.
your entire existence.
I'm a mix of a hermit and a workaholic, and that terrifies me. I'm trying to change that though. But yeah, Twitter is mostly where you can find anything that I'm doing during that day.
Thank you. And I am NoahClue, the illustrious host of this episode, who also has his own Twitter account, which is, if you can guess it, at NoahClue. That is the section where if I have an opinion about the Academy Awards not nominating the right films for the Best Anime Film of the Year award, or talking about Cartoon Brew's latest article that misrepresents the people that they interviewed, or what have you, that's where I will be ranting about that. Or I will also be posting pictures of my children, Oliver and Ruby, because when you have cute children, you get to post videos of that for everyone else to see.
For my birthday,
I
Noah
also-
sent me a little video of him and Ollie singing "Happy Birthday."
It was
shit.
adorable.
I loved it. I'm like, ah!
You're welcome. And we even went into the cupboard and found a lilac-colored candle for that.
I did not know that was a lilac-colored candle.
Oh,
shit!
that's so,
That makes it even better.
so extra. I love it.
That is
Little,
amazing.
yeah.
I love you.
We're classy and high. What's more for? We're high budget around here. Also, I almost forgot to point out, I also have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Journey Traveler, which I haven't been updating in the past, but I am in the process right now of working on a big video project to basically take the long hours I spent watching all of the fall anime and turning it into something actually entertaining. So hopefully, look forward to that. And as for this particular podcast you are listening to, you are watching the Dub Talk podcast, which is found on YouTube at this channel that you are currently watching it at. Although if you're watching this on someone else's channel that's not Dub Talk, please report that. We need to have words with that person. We actually had that happen not too long ago. We got that taken down.
Yeah, thankfully.
That was weird. Lilac, I'm sorry, can you refresh my memory about some of the other social media feeds, because I don't follow all of them.
Alright, aside from YouTube, we also have a Twitter account at Dub Talk Podcast. We also have an Instagram page, Dub Talk Podcast, and a Tumblr account. Though the last two we should probably do better at updating.
Yes.
If you want to keep a regular updates, go to our Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is the best way to keep updated with what we're doing.
Yep.
But hopefully we can add more stuff to Instagram and Tumblr.
Some of us are, like Lilac said, we're workaholics.
Yes.
And with that, I think we can end this barbecue at the secret base and finally go home and move on with our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, on behalf of myself, Andrew, and Lilac, thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night, and otaku on, my friends.
Otaku on, my friends, and remember, the Dub Talk podcast will always be friends forever.
Now take it away with the ending theme song, Andrew.
I'm just gonna cry in a corner now. Oh god.
The lyrics on that are really sad if you try.
By the way,
to-
you want a
it's
fun
like-
fact? Here's a fun fact quickly.
Fine.
The original song was actually done in 2001 by a girl rock band called Zone. The reason the song itself is called Secret Base 10 years after is actually because that is the 10th anniversary of that song in the year 2011, sung by the Seiyus. Because I always thought it was 10 years in the show, but it was actually 5. So that's where that comes
that
from.
threw me off. You're right. So thank you for explaining why it's 10 years is the song.
But God, it's one of my favorite anime ending themes. Good night, everybody. Let's listen to that shit.
Raining flowers.
I'm gonna go cry.
Good night.
Sadness fiesta.
We'll meet again in August. It's okay.